Oh, yeah, we most definitely.
We will go ahead and call to order the meeting of Sanford City Commission for Monday, October 13th, 2025. First order of business is the legislative prayer led by Pastor Blue of the Murphy Place Worship Center, followed by the pledge. Please rise if you can.
Good evening, everybody. I have the honor and privilege to be here tonight. I represent Birthing Place Worship Center, and we're glad to be here to offer prayer. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for the privilege of gathering on behalf of this great city. We pause to acknowledge that all authority comes from you. And as your word reminds us in Proverbs, where no counsel is, the people will fail, but in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. Lord, we bless you for our mayor, commissioners, city manager, and every servant of this city. We pray now that you'll grant them wisdom that builds unity, clarity that brings understanding, and courage that reflects integrity. Your word declares in Micah 6:8 that you require of us to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with you. So tonight, Father, we may every decision and discussion be guided by justice, shaped by mercy, and carried out in humility. We lift up this city and all who dwell in it. Protect our first responders, strengthen our educators, and bless every family, business, and community leaders who work for the good of Sanford. And Lord, we thank you and we bless you for peace and your presence that will guide us in this meeting. And Lord, your peace rests upon this city. We ask this in Christ Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor.
Okay. We have a couple of proclamations. And the first one will be for Pints and Paws, so if they could come on up. Bring your fat check. Whereas the Pints and Paws Craft Beer Festival was founded in 2011 in historic downtown Sanford, bringing together craft beer enthusiasts, dog lovers, and the community for a greater cause. And whereas the festival has grown into one of Sanford's most anticipated annual events, attracting thousands of attendees each year and serving as a symbol of the city's strong sense of community. And whereas since its beginning, Pints and Paws has raised more than $900,000 for local pet rescues and animal welfare organizations. That deserves a round of applause. Yeah. With funds providing life-saving medical care, adoption programs, and essential support for countless animals in need. And whereas the event is on pace to surpass the extraordinary milestone of $1 million raised for animal rescues in 2026, demonstrating the power of community when people come together for a common purpose. Whereas the success of Pints and Paws is made possible through the leadership of the Bark Board, along with the tireless efforts of dedicated volunteers, the generosity of sponsors, and the unwavering support of the Sanford community and beyond. And whereas this festival embodies the values of compassion, generosity, and civic pride, leaving a lasting impact on both people and pets while showcasing Sanford as a city that deeply cares for its community. Now, therefore, I, Art Woodruff, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Sanford, do hereby proclaim March 28, 2026, as Pints and Paws Day in the city of Sanford, and encourage all citizens to celebrate the achievements of this beloved event and the remarkable community of support that has made it possible.
Thank you very much. Yes, okay, I'll do that. So we raised $106,000 this year, and 106,800. Don't forget that 800. And the date that we picked for the proclamation is the date of next year's event too. So I thought it was fitting. So thanks for coming out.
Jonathan, we will be there.
Next is Florida City Government Week. And we would like for city employees to come forward.
Are we all city employees?
I think that was the instruction I was given.
I'm a city employee.
Okay.
Ain't you a city employee?
Y'all ain't going up? Cedric? Oh, you wanna go up? Huh?
I'm getting over mine.
She don't get in here, she'll sue us.
This way. Thank you. This way. Sorry. Okay. All right. Whereas city government is the government closest to most citizens and the one with the most direct daily impact upon its residents, and whereas municipal government provides services and programs that enhance the quality of life for residents, making their city their home, and whereas the city government is administered for and by its citizens and is dependent upon public commitment to and understanding of its many responsibilities, and whereas city government officials and employees share the responsibility to pass along the understanding of public services and their benefits, whereas Florida City Government Week offers an important opportunity for elected officials and city staff to spread the word to all citizens of Florida that they can shape and influence this branch of government. And whereas Florida League of Cities and its member cities have joined together to teach citizens about municipal government through a variety of activities. And whereas the City of Sanford encourages all citizens, city government officials, and employees to recognize and celebrate Florida City Government Week. And whereas the City of Sanford encourages educational partnerships between city government and schools, as well as civic groups and other organizations. And whereas the City of Sanford supports and encourages all Florida city governments to actively promote and sponsor Florida City Government Week. Now, therefore, I, Art Woodruff, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the City of Sanford, do hereby recognize Florida City Government Week, October 20 to 26, 2025, and encourage all citizens to support the celebration as Florida City Government Week. I'll start at 10 seconds.
Jeez.
I know.
Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, on behalf of the staff, we just want to say thank you.
You didn't get it.
Did he say he wasn't in the picture? It's fine.
Wasn't.
Okay, that brings us to minutes of the August 11, 2025 regular meeting and the September 22, 2025 work session and regular meeting.
Move to approve?
Second?
Motion is second. Any further discussion?
Minor correction, Tracy? Nathan, S-K-O-P.
Yeah.
Did you get that already?
Yes, you, in your email.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Speaking before the City Commission to facilitate public input. If you plan to speak on an item, please complete one of the yellow citizens input forms and submit it to the desk at the back. It will be brought up to us. The public will be given an opportunity to speak on any item before the City Commission during a regular meeting. Before the consent agenda, I will ask if anyone wants to speak on those items. During public hearings, there's a time for people to speak for each item. And during regular items, if comments are not called for, if you would raise your hand to be recognized. There's a 3-minute time limit for each speaker on each item. Citizen participation, which takes place after public hearings, is when individuals may address the commission on any topic that is not on the agenda, and there's a 5-minute time limit for citizen comments. So, does anyone wish to speak on any of the items on the consent agenda? No one. I would like to pull K so we can make a positive decision on that one. Any others?
Aye.
Aye. So, A through H, J, L through V.
Move to approve?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimously. K is the Seminole High School Homecoming Parade, which is planned for this Thursday. They did not get their application in according to the deadline, which means our staff is obligated to recommend a denial. I would suggest we move to approve that application.
Move to approve.
Second. Any further discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously, aye.
Okay, on I, Chief. This is approving the police department's vehicle procurement and lease plan. And I didn't quite go through every single page, but I did go through enough of them to.
A lot of pages.
That's a lot of pages.
A lot of pages.
Yes. Trees, wherever you are out there, be glad I'm not printing everything. There are a number of different kinds of vehicles here.
Correct.
And I'm sure that there is a process you use to figure out which vehicles to lease and for what reason. Does any of that have to do with the fact that these are undercover?
Some of them are. Majority of them are. One of the things that we've been doing is working with finance to look at the feasibility and the cost factor of these vehicles. Purchasing the vehicles for undercover purposes are more expensive than doing the leasing. We've been doing a leasing program for 8, 10 years. And we also do this with fleet. So Brett, I always get his name messed up. The guy that's in charge of fleet, we always work with him to make sure that whatever we're looking at is something that's going to be easy for them to work on as well. And we've just been doing it this way for a number of years. Okay. Actually, it's more of a cost saving than trying to purchase 8 to 10 cars, additional cars.
Okay, so the leasing makes sense, but you revisit it every year and just make sure that you're getting the right kind of makes and models that get what you need, not necessarily any more than that.
Yes, ma'am.
That it is cost effective.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions on I?
Nope.
Then do we have a motion on I?
Move to approve?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. That brings the second reading of ordinance 4832.
An ordinance of the City of Sanford, Florida relating to the keeping of chickens and amending Chapter 14, Article 1, subsection 14-4 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Sanford, Florida, providing for legislative findings and intent, providing for the taking of implementing administrative actions, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for a savings provision, providing for codification and scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, City staff is requesting Commission approval to adopt ordinance number 4832 to modify Chapter 14 of the Sanford, Florida Code of Ordinances to allow chickens in residential areas designated for single-family use.
Okay. And the one change that was made was you only pay the fee the first year, and then any inspections after the first year are based on code enforcement? Am I interpreting that right?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Commission. 3 changes from the first reading. The grammatical errors in the numbering, that was corrected. The fact that we changed from an annual fee to a one-time $50 application, and then we wordsmithed the concerns that was identified by Commissioner Thomas, and that's as it sits before you tonight.
Yeah, that's a good change.
Okay. All right, this is the public hearing. Anyone from the audience wish to speak to this item? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Bring it to the Commission for action. Thank you, Tony.
Approved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. First reading on ordinance 4833.
Thank you, Mr. Raimondo.
For the years on that project.
ordinance of the City of Sanford, Florida, amending the City of Sanford Comprehensive Plan as previously amended, providing for amendment of the future land use map of the future land use element of the City of Sanford Comprehensive Plan relative to certain real property, approximately 1.19 acres in size, owned by the Society of St. Pius X Orlando, Florida, Inc., tax parcel identification number 221930-5AD-0000-0130, said property being addressed as 9520 Narcissus Avenue, providing for the future land use designation to be amended from low-density residential Seminole County to waterfront downtown district city, providing for legislative findings and intent, providing for assignment of the land use designation for the property, providing for severability, providing for ratification of prior acts of the city, providing for conflicts, providing for codification and directions to the city codifier, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, ordinance number 4833 is regarding the annexation, and the staff has found the request for annexation to meet the criteria set forth in section 171 of the Florida statutes relating to voluntary annexation, and therefore it is the city staff's recommendation City Commission approve ordinance number 4833 on first reading to annex 1.19 acres located at 2520 Narcissus Avenue into the city as legally described.
This is a public hearing. Anyone from the audience wish to speak to this item? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Bring it to commission for action.
Move to approve.
Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. First reading of ordinance 4834.
Goes to 35.
Mr. Mayor, we identified that there is a typo. The ordinance that says 4833 should be 4834. And that was just read by the city attorney.
So the annexation was 34?
No, that was 33.
Okay.
This one is 34.
So we're good with 33.
Right. and
Right,
that
34.
actually is 34, and that, I don't see an ordinance in the book for 34.
It's the future land use that
I
the city clerk just read.
It says 33 on it,
Yeah.
Lindsay.
Okay.
It
So
was
So
a
it's the one that the
typo.
city clerk just read.
Yes, I did hand them out.
Okay.
It just had the number wrong.
So the one that I
On the
just read
top.
is 33, and that was just approved.
Yes, so you're on 34.
Okay.
No, the one you just read is 34.
No,
No,
it's 33.
annexation is 33.
That was 33.
Yeah, but she read the 34. The land comprehensive plan?
Should we just do it again?
So let's just figure it out quickly, and let me make sure.
The one that you just acted on was the annexation.
Right.
Right. Thank you. Ordinance number 2025-4834, an ordinance of the City of Sanford, Florida, amending the City of Sanford Comprehensive Plan as previously amended, providing for amendment of future land use map of the future land use element of the City of Sanford Comprehensive Plan relative to certain real property approximately 1.19 acres in size, owned by the Society of St. Pius X Orlando, Florida, Inc., tax parcel identification number 221935AD-00000130, said property being addressed as 2520 Narcissus Avenue, providing for the future land use designation to be amended from low-density residential Seminole County to waterfront downtown business district city, providing for legislative findings and intent, providing for assignment of the land use designation for the property, providing for severability, providing for ratification of prior acts of the city, providing for conflicts, providing for codification and directions to the code codifier, and providing for an effective date. I've officially read the proper ordinance number 2025-4834.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, on September the 4th of 2025, the city's Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend that the City Commission approve the request to amend the future land use from agriculture for Seminole County to agriculture for the City of Sanford on the project address of 2520 Narcissus Avenue. Staff feels that the small-scale land use amendment is appropriate and suitable for the subject site, and is comparable with the surrounding land uses and is consistent with the City of Sanford's Comprehensive Plan, Joint Planning Agreement, and Chapter 163 of the Florida statutes.
This is a public hearing. Anyone from the audience wish to speak to this item? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing, bring it to commission for action.
Move to approve.
Second. Commission second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Okay. Ordinance 4835.
An ordinance of the City of Sanford, Florida, providing for the rezoning of certain real property, approximately 1.19 acres in size, owned by the Society of St. Pius X Orlando, Florida Incorporated, tax parcel identification number 221930-5AD 00000130 by the Seminole County Property Appraiser, which property is located within the Sanford city limits, addressed as 2520 Narcissus Avenue. Map of the property is attached from Agricultural A1, Seminole County, to Agricultural AG, City, providing for findings and intent, providing for the taking of implementing administrative actions, providing for the adoption of a map by reference, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for non-codification, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, on September the 4th of 2025, the city's Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend that the City Commission adopt ordinance rezoning 1.19 acres located at the address of Project 2520 Narcissus Avenue from agriculture to agriculture on the basis of consistency with the Joint Planning Agreement and the City of Sanford's Comprehensive Plan.
Okay, this is a quasi-judicial item, and commissioners must disclose all ex parte communications, including the name of the communicator and the time and place and substance of the communication. Written communications, commissioners' investigations, site visits, and receipt of expert opinions must also be disclosed and made a part of the record. Persons who have opinions contrary to those expressed in an ex parte communication may refute or respond to the communication at the hearing when they make their presentation. Does anybody have anything to declare?
I have none.
None.
Okay. In a quasi-judicial process, parties to the proceedings are generally the city and the applicant. Others who have a legal standing to appeal the decision can also request to be recognized as a party. Parties are subject to cross-examination, must give their testimony under oath. Persons do not have to be a party to the proceedings to be recognized and provide comments. Members of the public who wish to make comments are not subject to cross-examination and are not sworn in as evidentiary witnesses. Comments of the public that provide facts relevant to the application will be considered in the decision. Qualifications of the city staff are part of the agenda materials. All testimony and evidence provided to the City Commission must be competent, material, and substantial under Florida law. A guide to quasi-judicial proceedings has been published on the city's website, and copies are available on the table in the chambers at which the agendas and speaker request forms are found. Now, with all that said, is anyone going to be testifying that we need to swear in? The city is not? Yes, just this matter. Okay. What? I don't have the next one as quasi-judicial. Is the PD rezone quasi-judicial?
I need to have some idea to talk about.
Oh, okay, then this is also, this is for this item and for the next item,
say so.
ordinance 4836.
Mayor?
Commissioner
I did
Williams.
have, I did.
With,
With them.
okay. All right. State your names for the record. Eileen Henson. So, okay. And do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you are about to give in the matters now at hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay. All right, so we are still on item B3, ordinance 4835. This is a public hearing. Anyone who wishes to speak to that item, which is the rezone on Narcissus? See no one, I'll close the public hearing, bring it to commission for action.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. That brings us to ordinance 4836.
I did hand out a revised memo for this one. They had provided me with late Thursday afternoon. So you should all have a 7C, which says revised on the top. Got it.
Ms. Henson.
Okay. Does everyone have it, the
I have it.
revised? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
An ordinance of the City of Sanford, Florida, providing for amending of the planned development of real property totaling 4.22 acres in size, lots 1, 2, and 3, tax identification parcel number 16-19-30-5AC 0000930, also 16-19305AC 0000-93A, and tax identification parcel number 16-1930-5AC 000093B, which is generally addressed as 133 North White Cedar Road, also known as Thornbrook, within the city limits, map of the property attached, to increase the intensity and modify the standards for the commercial land uses along State Road 46, allowing GC2 zoning, and add in the ability to request all associated conditional uses, providing for the taking of implementing administrative actions, providing for the adoption of a map by reference, repealing all conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing for non-codification, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Mayor,
Oh, sorry. No, I jumped ahead.
Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, it is the recommendation for this to be denied, and you have the documentation in the report.
Okay, and in terms of ex parte communication, I believe I have met with the applicant on this project or a similar project sometime in the past, but I do not remember when it was.
As well as myself.
It would have been a year ago or more? Okay, all right.
Good evening. Eileen Henson, Planning Director. Before you tonight, we have a request to amend the Cedar Point PD, commonly known as Thornbrook. The plan development amendment is in 2 parts. So first, some basic information. It's a 6.67 acre site. 3 of the parcels front State Road 46, 1 on White Cedar. They're zoned plan development, and they're in the West Side Industry and Commerce land use classification. This map helps better explain how it's in pieces. This is a mixed-use development that has townhomes, single-family, and different commercial tracts within. Some of the commercial tracts front 46, and some of them front White Cedar. So a little background, Ordinance 4300 was adopted in 2013, August 26th. It established the Townsend White Cedar PD. The original PD master plan proposed general commercial and industrial uses for all the commercial tracts. The City Commission modified those uses at the hearing during the public hearing process. It limited the uses along White Cedar to restricted commercial, to buffer adjacent residential. It prohibited conditional uses to prevent incompatible uses near single-family homes and along State Road 46. So the development order 1315 had 2 conditions in it that are what the applicant is requesting this evening. The uses allowed on the commercial parcels 1 through 3 were limited to general commercial, and they were not permitted to request conditional uses. They were only allowed those that were permitted by right. The uses along White Cedar were restricted to restricted commercial uses. So this is a PD master plan. What the overall PD master plan, it's the full mixed-use project. It's a little hard to see because it's the white line. So the applicant provided this exhibit. The yellow parcels are the ones in question. North is not facing up. So the ones on White Cedar are the ones further to the right. The 3 on the left side of the screen are the ones on First Street. So I will zoom in a little, make it easier to see. And now they're oriented north up. You can see there's 3 parcels. They front 46. These are the ones that were restricted to general commercial zoning classification uses only. And then you can also see from this plan that it was created in a way that was immediately adjacent to those townhomes right behind it. the city commission, this is the one at the meeting, the city commission took out the uses for industrial and conditional uses that would include automotive and storage and uses of that intensity. So some of the uses that would be added, 4-story self-storage, car wash, vehicle repair, light warehouse, and light manufacturing. They're seeking to allow all uses permitted in GC2 and the ability to request conditional uses for more intensive activities. So the Cedar Point PD on 46, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended that the plan development rezone be approved. The details in the amendment, they looked to approve the increase of the commercial allocation to the 4.22 acre portion that fronts 46, allowing the GC2 uses and the associated ability to request conditional uses, but we added in the requirement for the city commission approval like we would for exceptional uses. So the vote was 5-2 in favor based on consistency with the city's comprehensive plan and subject to a development order including all of staff recommended conditions. The 2 dissenting votes were Commissioner Woodard and Commissioner Wilson. They were generally concerned about incompatibility with the adjacent single-family uses. Ms. Wilson also cited an existing agreement with Seminole County for 46 corridor compatibility and opposed the changes prior to the commission limitations. So the commission said that they wanted to take away those conditional use processes, and she was opposed to modifying that original restriction. So if the commission does move to approve the 46 parcels, staff provided a series of additional conditions, which includes everything that was in the original development orders for development, but also all requests for future conditional uses to be approved by this commission in addition to the Planning and Zoning Commission, as we would require for certain exceptional uses. And then strictly prohibited uses proposed to be eliminated would be outdoor storage, outdoor animal boarding, auction sales, laundromats, marijuana dispensary and pharmacy, exceptional uses, and any other uses restricted by the city code. So this is the piece on North White Cedar. The uses allowed on the commercial parcel 7 through 10 as they were originally noted. It says they were to be limited to the restricted commercial and exclusion of conditional uses as noted in the land development regulations. On the left, you can see there's a photo that was provided by the applicant of the types of warehouses that they were looking to place in them. As you can see from the exhibit on the right, these parcels immediately butt up to the backyards of those single-family homes.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little bit easier to see the subdivision that's behind it and the parcels that are in front of it. So the warehouses, they're calling them condominium warehouses. We don't have a land use code for condominium warehouses, but they are warehouses by code, and they would be limited to the uses that are either part of this PD or warehouses on the whole, which is what the City Commission did not want the first time it came through because of its proximity to these single-family homes. So the action of the Commission was to recommend denial of the proposed amendment. It applies to the 2 acres on White Cedar. They're seeking to allow warehouse uses. It was a unanimous denial due to incompatibility with the adjacent single family, and it does not meet the planning management criteria in policy 1.12.1 of the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Okay, to clarify,
Yes.
P&Z voted to approve parcels 1, 2, and 3 on State Road 46?
They have voted to approve the parcels on 46 to allow them general commercial uses with the ability to ask for conditional uses, subject to those conditional uses coming back before the City Commission to make sure that it meets compatibility with the joint planning agreement elements, to make sure that it meets what the City Commission wants to see in that corridor along 46, and to make sure that whatever buffers or separations are placed there do not negatively impact the single-family townhomes behind it.
Okay.
So that was the action on the State Road 46 side.
And what's notated on the plan is proposed tire center, proposed car wash, proposed self-storage. Are those all by right in general commercial?
No, they're all conditional uses.
Those are all conditional uses. Okay.
I think some of them may be administrative conditional uses, but as administrative conditional uses, the LDR reserves the right to the administrative official to forward that as a standard conditional use if seen appropriate.
And having those uses on State Road 46 as gateway and then against the single family is what doesn't meet our comprehensive plan?
The uses are permitted within the mixed use of the West Side Industry and Commerce. What it doesn't meet is what the intent and purpose of the original rezoning was. So that's why they're back before the
Okay.
commission to ask for this modification. Staff, after reviewing it, still feels that the uses are too intense for the residential immediately adjacent and may not be the most desirable uses on that immediate corridor into the city. As it is a PD and it was developed as an overall master plan, modifying one section is something that needs to be looked at more than just determining whether or not it's solely comprehensive plan. It has to do with compatibility. I mean, it is all the elements in the comprehensive plan, but it's not just uses, is what I mean. So the uses may be permitted, but there are other elements of the comprehensive plan that are not being met.
Okay, and do you remember if there were any concessions granted for the part that has been developed from our code?
For the residential,
Mhm.
I don't understand the question. What concessions? The single family and the townhomes, I mean, it's all part of the PD that's
Right,
in the
and so PD is
packet.
negotiation, so if they agreed to this, did they get something different in the residential already?
I don't know all the residential concessions that were made, but I'm sure that we reduced setbacks and other elements. But there were also those, on multiple PDs in that West Side Industry and Commerce, we did include the statement that other industrial may develop around them, but because this was developed as part of their own PD, individuals bought into this mixed use knowing what they were buying into and what was immediately adjacent. So you'll be changing what was there when they purchased their property.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Benson?
We already have an existing car wash and one being built within a couple of miles of this area, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right,
So-
anything else?
No, I have nothing further. I do believe the applicant
Okay.
has a presentation also
Right.
for you.
I'm gonna have the applicant come up.
Good evening, Mary Solik, 121 South Orange Avenue, Suite 1500, Orlando, Florida. I'm legal counsel for Elevation Cedar Point. I mean no disrespect by sitting there with my leg up. I had my knee replaced 3 weeks ago, and this is the time of day it starts to swell.
We understand.
So,
He can relate.
yes, yes. With me tonight is David Evans, who is the project engineer. Awais Kanani is the principal of Elevation Cedar Point. He's here too. And Calvin Gardner is here. He is the proposed project developer for the project that is on lots 8 and 9, the front White Cedar Road. So Mr. Evans is going to do the presentation, and then I'm going to follow up at the end with some comments on the ordinance, and I'm going to pass out some information about the ordinance that I will address when I come back up. So I'm going to turn it over to David.
Thank you and good evening. David Evans, Evans Engineering, 719 Irma Avenue, Orlando, 32801, here on behalf of the applicant. We did put together a relatively brief PowerPoint just to kind of give you an idea of some of the things that were confusing, even to us in the staff report, is how the lots were kind of combined. You know, there's lots on 46 and there's lots on White Cedar. So I wanted to make the distinction as to the request for each individual piece. Staff was gracious enough to allow us to apply for all of those changes under one application. May have been a little easier to do separate applications so that it's clear, but let me thumb through this real quick and then we can talk about it a little bit more. So this is obviously the land area. You know, kind of gave an idea for us, just of the surrounding developments to the north and to the south. Again, the same graphic that was put up previously showing, and it obviously rotated now, so north is to the right. So on White Cedar, you've got the two lots, 8 and 9, in the back, and you've got on 46 itself, or First Street, lots 1, 2, and 3. Future land use map, everybody knows this, West Side Industry and Commerce. We obviously understand what the West Side Industry and Commerce means, and the mixed use areas, obviously, contains a policy within the future land use comprehensive plan 1.1.7, which I did pull up a couple of those, just a quick brief overview of how we are compatible with the West Side Industry and Commerce. And so some of this will lend itself into the future discussion of this presentation, but that we have, obviously already developed the property. The property was a master plan community. We have stormwater, we have utilities. The developer actually helped the city upgrade the lift station and water system in the area in order to provide services for this project. And it also did the same for the future uses, which is what we're here for today, the commercial uses. And some of these are important to know. You'll see in the front 3 lots that there's actually a corridor in the back of the lots that's a connecting road. So we have cross-access between the lots so that they don't have to go back out on 46. So these things were part of what the West Side Industry and Commerce alluded to, and so we're consistent with that. There's 2. Same thing, master plan, stormwater, floodplain, we've handled that, the master stormwater. So a lot of this stuff got taken care of when they did the master development. The master development obviously lends itself to the overall integrity of the entire project. The uses based on where the approximation to the residential and how we were requesting are 2 separate pieces now. Zoning, we understand all of it's a PD. Okay, so in the PD, we're not asking for any changes to the master plan. Good question on the previous applications. There were very few things nothing that we came back to council for relative to a PD amendment on the residential portion of the project that's already constructed. So we have single family and townhomes. You saw those in the previous slides. And so in this case, no changes to the master plan, stays the same. The lots are still there. And all the conditions relative to that is the only thing we're asking for, and we're not only asking for 2 conditions to be modified. Lastly, obviously, back in the comp plan, mixed use designation is to promote development of commerce, industry, and employment center. First request, State Road 46 parcels 1, 2, and 3, about 4.33 acres. Modify the condition that restricts the conditional use as a part of the GC2 zoning. Pretty clear. We want to request the ability to apply for conditional uses, all the conditional uses listed under the GC2. On the White Cedar Road parcels, that's parcels 8 and 9, about 2 acres. Modify another condition, which is in the same approval letter and same condition for the PD to add specific, again, use of these condominium studios, and we'll get into that a little bit more. Market history, developers here. I was part of the development history, so I understand and have been around here the whole time, but since 2013, those lots have been vacant. He's had multiple national firms try to broker them. No meaningful interest based on the uses. And then obviously from the State Road 46 parcels, it prohibited typical highway commercial uses that we've already discussed. And I want to make it clear that we didn't make any application for any uses at this point. We've been talking to staff about things that could come along, but there is no uses other than the lots in White Cedar, and the applicant's here for that. There's no uses that have been submitted to the city. They were just discussed. So whether a car wash comes or not, we know there's plenty of them around, but I guess there's a lot of dirty cars because there's a lot of them. But that may not be a use. We have not permitted or submitted anything to the city relative to that. So what might be there is that's just an example of that. And on the back, obviously, lack of visibility. They couldn't get any commercial users back there. A restricted commercial is very limited, as we know, and we'll get into that a little bit more. Okay, clearly 1, 2, and 3. We know where they are. You can see that there is a access road here on the back. It connects them. There's also a turn lane. It got approved by DOT. Off of 46, so all the access can come in off 46 or from the neighborhood on White Cedar. Condition that on the lots 1, 2, and 3, all uses allowed under GC2, general commercial zoning classification, exclusive of conditional uses. So that was the condition that was actually approved by City Commission back in 2013. We are not specifying any uses yet. We're just asking to be able to use the conditional uses and come back to now the planning board and the city commission for approval of those conditional uses. And then obviously the conditional use is allowed within the corresponding after approval planning zoning as a major conditional use. So they added you guys to it because I think they wanted to make sure you saw it again if they came back with a conditional use. So we'll figure out how that works. Site specifics, lots 1, 2, and 3 are directly on State Road 46. There's an existing fence between the townhome and proposed commercial uses. If you looked at the slides earlier, you'll see that there's a road right on the south side of the townhomes. Then there's a fence, and then there's our access road that I talked about earlier. So you got about 100 to 150 feet from the townhomes to the back of anything that could be built on those front 3 lots of space. And then we've got room for landscaping in between the fence and the road that's proposed on that north side of those 3 lots. We're not asking for any increased intensity or density. All the GC2 requirements will be met. And then obviously under the WIC, under the comprehensive plan, the uses that we talked about earlier, auto service and repair, an oil change place. We're not talking about doing major mechanical work or any other issues related to what would be permitted under GC2 as a conditional use. Obviously, planning board recommended approval of that. This is number 2, parcels 8 and 9. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Quick question. Is it a fence or a wall that separates?
Fence.
Okay.
Yep, existing fence.
And since we stopped there, I just wanted to be clear. You said that there is a proposed road, or there's already an existing
There's a
road?
turnout on White Cedar that exists today, a driveway that is proposed to be used as the driveway access from White Cedar to as cross access for those 3 lots. I don't know if it shows up there. Yeah, there it is. Okay, see right here. That driveway's in. So that was part of our discussions with the city back when the master development was proposed. So the access would be through here, connecting to these 3 lots. And that's what it says in the WIC anyway, but it's a cross access between all 3 lots.
Okay.
Is the driveway in the buffer?
Well, it's a combination buffer, and there's about 15 feet from the driveway to the property line and the fence.
And where's the closest home?
All these here. So if you have these lots are the,
And that's
this is the front
Marybrook Circle, I
yard,
think?
the actual building. So if you take, from this fence across the road, their access road's right here, and then you go their front yard, and then this is the actual building back here, that's about 80 feet.
Yeah, that's a pretty
So if
big
you go the
buffer.
other way, this road will be in here with the buffer behind it, and then the first building's up here.
Yeah.
You add the
Okay.
dimension to it. Does that make sense? Good. Okay, request number 2, specific to these 2 parcels, 8 and 9. Obviously, they've got a defined area that they'll be in. We know the city owns one of these parcels already, proposed fire station in the future. Condition for that one, restricted commercial is the zoning type, so under the Land Development Code, Schedule B, and then the conditional use, exclusive of conditional uses, just like it was on the other one, so no conditional uses under restricted commercial. The proposal, so these are some of the permitted uses that they couldn't quite get to happen. Middle schools, libraries, elementary schools, tough to put in those 2 lots. They're not really that big. Daycare, they tried. They've been, again, marketing these things. They're not really a motion picture place. Sidewalk cafe, maybe. Restaurant, maybe. But they wanted frontage. They wanted visibility. So on that road, it was hard for them to actually stimulate any users based on the fact of their location. Building setbacks under RC1, maintain those, landscape buffers, maintain that, building height, maintain that, and then proposed building height of the studios is not even 20 feet, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of a single-family residential house. So here we are. I'm going to ask Calvin Gardner to come up and kind of explain how these work, because he's an expert in that. Flip through this.
Before he does, there was a term that was stated, condominium warehouse. What's the definition of that?
Let him explain that,
Okay.
because it's going to be, you'll understand that.
All right, my name is Calvin Gardner. Happy to be here tonight. I'm here with my partner Ron Southard that are looking to develop this property. So this is a pretty new concept. You don't see them really in Central Florida, but you will be seeing them everywhere. They really are pretty popular down south, and they are mostly for toy storage, people with RVs, boats, RVs, man caves. And down south, these things are going for $400,000, $500,000 a piece. They probably fall under industrial, but I don't think any of the zoning in Central Florida really accounts for what we're trying to do. The closest thing I can tell you that they're like is, I don't know if you've seen the airport between Apopka and Mount Dora. They are freestanding buildings. It's almost like a subdivision of homes, but these are warehouses. But they're much nicer looking. They're aesthetically pleasing. They're small in scale. Most people industrial are building 2,400 to 3,500 square foot spaces out there. This doesn't exist. Our product is being sold, this one here would be a shell, sold at $325,000. On the way over here, I pulled everything in Sanford that was for sale commercially for under $400. Two things, both land. I can tell you there are small businesses out there that have nothing and no option to purchase or lease. Some of these probably will be purchased as investments and leased out, but the idea and the concept here is to basically have these freestanding buildings that are in ownership. They'll be condominium, and they'll be small in scale. They're 1,500 square feet. They're 30 by 50. Very small. I know he said on that the height was 20, but these will only be 18 feet. Right, so that's kind of a small version of what you're seeing now. We don't have the final design because I know the city's going to be specific as to what they want, but we want them to be kind of sexy. We want them to be kind of nice looking. They'll be landscaped nicely, which you don't see in the airport one, right? They don't put a lot of trees in the airport property, but these will be individually owned. There will be a condominium association that will limit the uses. And so those uses will be, no nauseous smells, no contamination, no loud noises, and no automotive. So you can't do anything to make money in automotive. You can't do window screening or anything. Now, you can work on your own RV in your unit. You can work on your friend's RV in the unit. But you cannot do it for money. We want a clean industrial, or like a little warehouse park. It's a studios, very, very much unique to the users there, but the users will be subject to the condominium documents. But on top of that layer, it'll also be subject to the city. So we're selling these as just blank units, so vanilla boxes. And anybody that's buying those for a use that's more than that. So we expect 30% is, we have one going in Leesburg. We anticipate 30% people with toys to be going in those, 30% for small businesses that have grown out of their homes. They just need a place for inventory or a place to go. Not much in the way of retail. You're basically going to get the space in front of your building. You're going to be kind of expected to park your car in the building at night. You can park out front, but this is not a retail use. We're not looking for a lot of traffic in this park. We want a nice, clean park. But we also think we probably will get about 30% that'll be small businesses. Let's say you have a air conditioning company. You come in the morning, you have your van in there, you get it ready for the day and leave and come back at the end of the afternoon. So I can tell you it doesn't exist for small businesses, especially for 1,500 square feet, which is all that most people need. So we were going to, our proposal on this one is 20 buildings. And at $325,000, you can see there, that's a tax base of $6.5 million that doesn't exist on that property today.
Excuse me, sir, who's going to control the traffic? You're saying what kind of traffic is gonna be out there and what's not gonna be allowed. Who's gonna control that?
The association. Have you been a part of an association? So I'll give an example. I had a unit that I was selling down in South Orlando. It was a condominium association, and they had, I brought a guy in, great company. He was gonna make the almonds and the walnuts that they sell at the Magic Game, which I love. We submitted him as a tenant, not a tenant, but he was a tenant buyer. He was gonna be the owner. And they got denied because they had a nauseous smell. So it can't be anything with a smell that anybody might find nauseous. So we actually had to tell him he couldn't do it. And I can tell you, that association, that's ownership. They're not gonna let that park go to pot. You know, I can tell you half the people in the subdivision next to this are gonna wanna own one of these. I've yet to talk to anybody that doesn't want one of these units. I could use like 3 of them. So they are pretty popular. The one that we're doing in Leesburg is in downtown Leesburg. And the calls we get on that is just crazy. And since we've started ours, there's been 2 more that are actually under construction. So it's coming. You're going to see more and more of this. So, you know, the planning department probably should start considering, you know, how they address that from a zoning and planning department. But I can tell you they're going to be very popular and they're going to be affordable. We're trying to make this to be an affordable product for small businesses and owners.
Would, this may be a question for Eileen, would we control the initial HOA documents?
So the answer to that, I think, is you don't control the HOA, but for anybody that wants to run a business, it would have to have a certificate of occupancy. They would have to go to the city, and that is where the city has the power. So as long as it's just somebody storing their RVs in there, not a problem. But if they go on to move that into a business, whether it's storage and they're getting a certificate of occupancy, they can't have 15 employees. They're going to get shut down because they're going to say you don't have the parking. They're going to get shut down because you don't have and we are going to actually plumb these, and they'll have 200 amp service. So you can put a small business in it, but it's going to be minor. We're not putting 3-phase electrical in them. It'll be small boutique type businesses that go in here, but to answer your question is the condominium will control the decks, will control the uses, and they will vote on those in, you know, within the condominium association. But the city will have the ability to stop them on certificate of occupancy type uses.
Okay, but I thought in the past we have required certain things to be in HOA docs. Am I misremembering that?
We do record the original HOA docs. I know Mr. Groot used to review the HOA docs to ensure they were complete, but I don't know that we actually regulate what the HOA can and cannot do.
Okay.
But, you
And
know.
it would only be the initial ones anyway.
Right. Anything after that, they could amend it on day 2, and we have no say.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the ongoing operation that is completely under the jurisdiction of their condominium, of their board that they appoint. And those are the people that would come in and say, no, we don't mind the fact that there's a car in here being worked on with amps that you can hear 30 miles away.
That's
Right.
correct, Commissioner Thomas.
We have no control over that.
Absolutely.
Once it's a warehouse, it will be allowed to be a warehouse. I mean, we don't have a land use category that separates those uses.
Nor is
But-
there a special definition for condo warehouse, so a warehouse is a warehouse. And so whether it would look as though what's portrayed in front of you, that is not under the control either. It is what is designated as.
And we can set architectural regulations, and you can set, you know, what the facades of the structures will look like, or mandate that they, you know, adhere to Schedule G and all of those things. But if they say, for example, have their own personal vehicle stored inside, but they work on their stereo system, you know, all day long or all weekend long, and it's in this unit that's next to single family, and it's just personal storage, there's nothing that we can do because there's no occupational.
We have to trust that
There's no review
condominium
on the
association.
certificates of occupancy. It'll just be a white box, like they said, and it would also be, you know, there's no business tax receipt, there's no occupation going on there. It's just personal use. So that's where the concern on intensity comes in.
Okay. And, I mean, this idea intrigues me. But I think the one that disturbs me is the man cave idea, where I come home after work and then go in there, and that's when the noise starts up. Not necessarily the businesses during the day that would be using them, but people that might be using them at night.
Right. And the concern is not the use itself. It's an intriguing use, as you noted. It's the location and proximity to the residential uses that doesn't meet all the criteria, the strict scrutiny of all elements of the comprehensive plan, not just use.
Whatever the residents said about it.
Was there a CAP meeting?
Yes, they had a CAP meeting.
We did have a CAP meeting.
How many people were there?
Five. And two married couples or one married couple? Two married couples.
The way you market this, it sounds more like almost a luxury type of condominium warehouse, and I don't know that we have the demographics to support that anyway.
I'll let Calvin address that, but while he's coming up,
I bet this sells in Miami.
well, it's selling in Leesburg too. Yes, the condo docs will regulate the project, but you have the ability to regulate the project in your approval. You can prohibit uses. You can put in hours of operation. You have the ability to address noise with your noise ordinance, just like you have on any property in the city. You have code enforcement that you can use. Anybody that's operating a business, these are just going to be empty shells that are provided, so the interior build-outs are going to need permits from the city, and they'll need to have certificates of occupancy and business tax receipts for particular businesses. You'll have a lot more control and oversight than you think you will. It can be done. You just need to think outside the box. It's not a use that's anticipated or considered by your code, but it's a newly developing use. And actually, it's a use that can be buffered from the neighborhood. It's a very low traffic generator. Did you go through that, David? Yeah, it's a very low traffic generator. It would generate less traffic than any of the restricted commercial uses that would go on that property. We have the ability to put the buffer in. The height is not a problem. It's a far less intense use than you think.
Could you, whoever has the clicker, can you go back? There was a slide two slides, I think, with a number of items where you put in red how you satisfied the requirements. And you went through those pretty quickly, so I just want to capture them again.
Sure.
Before that?
It's way at the beginning, David.
There, okay. Just give me a minute so I think the second page I didn't get through. So let me look at those again, if I might. And how the process that you went through to determine no wildlife habitat present, including gopher tortoises, for example, things like that, you did all that?
Yes.
Of course, and then H is the one I was looking at, regulated through condominium. And you're right, I mean, we do have code that we can enforce.
Right.
We have code now in other places where we still have to end up calling poor Chief Smith there and saying, we keep telling them about that noise and they keep violating it, so we'll just add another place for him to go to.
Well, I mean, you could have a neighbor in the neighborhood to the north of there working on their car in their garage, blasting their radio and having a part. It's the same, you deal with it the same way.
Okay. Thank you. I think I got through all that.
Just one quick finish up slide. We did have some comments during the Planning Commission hearing relative to some things that the former HOA president mentioned, and so we wanted to at least address those so you kind of understand that we saw those. This was Andrew McCombs, but the co-op vision for the Cedar Point PD based on the WIC 2 mix of commercial residential uses. Again, lack of interest is the reason for us here. If somebody had come in and wanted some of those spaces, especially the ones on White Cedar, we wouldn't have had that, even on 46, relative to the type of uses that they'd like to have there. A negative impact on home values. The economic impact statement was submitted to the city during this review process to evaluate the impacts on the neighborhood based on property values. And in fact, based on the fact that it's not a warehouse use, it's more of a condo use, the impact was minimal on those houses. Obviously, a vacant lot is what they have today. Burden on taxpayer infrastructure, like I mentioned earlier, this PD was approved based on some improvements that were made for the city. The existing lift station was improved and others, contributions by the developer. So there's no further burden based on what this use proposes and our original estimate of what needed to happen there. Alternates, RC1 has non-attractive users, again, over 10 years. Applicant's motivation versus commercial needs. The motivation is to do something with the property that's been sitting vacant for over 10 years. Loss of residential privacy. We have screening proposed. We can discuss screening even further. We have a lot of room behind the condo units to do some additional buffering, fencing that would also help with the buffering so that it wouldn't nothing would cast over. These are private-owned condominiums, so how we do the lighting, when the time which people have to have their cars, they encourage people not to leave their cars in the parking lot, either put them inside the building or take them home. So it's, at the end of the day, it looks kind of like the slide we showed you with just the condominium units there. Protected habitat was one of his concerns. This is a developed lot. These lots were cleared and during the PD process, so they're ready. And then future changes, again, the condominium association is a big deal. They're going to want to keep the values of these units at the highest possible value. They're not going to let it deteriorate. This is no different than a condo that you live in. There'll be regulations, rules, meetings, associations, and condominium documents that regulate the types of uses that are in there. Again, Cedar Point Studios is responsibly designed, low-impact project, fills the clear market need while respecting community standards that he supports. This project can unlock meaningful economic and community benefits.
Okay, you should see this handout. I don't presume to know how you're going to vote, but I did suggest some changes to the ordinance that is in your package that addresses the 3 lots on 46. And my changes, I'll walk you through them. The first are to the whereas clauses. As David has told you, we are not, on the 3 lots on 46, we're not requesting approval for any specific uses. We don't have an end user. We don't have the properties under contract. We just want the ability to market the property with all permitted uses under GC2 and all conditional uses under GC2. We just want the flexibility to seek somebody that wants to use the property for one of those uses. So I took out all the references in the first whereas clause to any specific uses because that's not what we're proposing on those. And again, the ordinance in your package only deals with the lots on 46. And the second whereas clause, we are not increasing the intensity or modifying the standards. The FAR stays the same. We've not asked for any increase in FAR, and we're not modifying any standards in the PD in terms of setbacks, et cetera. Paragraph number 1 would limit the approval to 3 years. There was no time limit on the approval when it was done in 2013. And again, we're not asking for specific uses. We don't see why we need to have a limit of 3 years on asking or having the opportunity to present a conditional use. So there shouldn't be any time limitation. Number 3, the staff was asking for an increased 35-foot buffer, and I've added a little graphic in there, and David's walked you through this, that demonstrates that we don't really have the ability to put the 35-foot buffer in there because we already have the roadway that's coming in as part of the master plan and a 15-foot landscape buffer that's already proposed. And we think that between the roadway, the 15-foot landscape, the fence, and then the roadway on the other side in the townhome project, that it is sufficiently buffered. Number 6, we ask that all requests for the future conditional uses be heard by the Planning and Zoning Commission for recommendation to and final action by the city commission. We didn't think we needed to refer to the exceptional use process. Number 8, there were specific conditional uses that were prohibited by that the staff requested be prohibited. And again, we want those are conditional uses under your code. They're allowed in GC2, and we want the ability to present those if a user should come along and present those. That it's in the code now. Number 10 was decorative and functional fountains be installed in the wet retention ponds. The ponds have all been built. You know, all of the infrastructure is already in, so that condition should be deleted. And then number 11 is sort of along the same lines. We would just ask that we do a comprehensive signage program for the commercial properties. The multifamily and the other residential uses are already developed and their signage is already in place. So those are the changes we would like to see to the ordinance. Again, I'm not presuming what you're going to do, but the ordinance in your package we thought needed some tweaking.
Do you have this that can be pulled up, this graphic?
I don't, oh, that graphic? Well, that's the same thing that was,
Do you have that graphic?
I don't, I'm sorry, I just have it in this soft copy.
Can we just put it up on the?
Do you have an Elmo?
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Well, I can just ask you.
Okay.
I mean, since we all look at it, if you want to if you have Elmo, you can put it up. Okay. Well, you've got, it shows a 15-foot buffer, and then a 22-foot road, and then what are the big white islands?
Those would be, David?
Big open landscape.
So Eileen, would that count in buffer?
The
Can your
buffer,
have a road in the middle of it?
no.
Okay.
I mean, it is a PD, it's negotiated. Obviously, when we originally designed it or intended for that road to be there, that was likely the intention. I know it's noted in some of the discussions we've had, but I want to make sure that it's understood what the actual buffers that were obviously concessions as part of the original rezone. I just want to make them clear before we make any further discussion on buffers. So
Okay.
There is a commercial to residential buffer of 25 feet, which is green only. That's the buffer. It's not roads, it's trees. It's got a 50-foot building setback, but both of those are predicated on a type 1 solid wall, which, as they've noted multiple times, that it's just a fence. So a type 1 masonry wall is required to have a 25-foot buffer and a 50-foot setback. If they have anything other than the type 1 wall, which is the hedges and other means of making that buffer, it requires a 50-foot buffer and a 75-foot setback between commercial and residential. Now, our classification on this would be warehouse, which is actually industrial.
These are 46. We're talking about the pieces on 46.
Yeah, this is commercial, and it's commercial to residential or industrial to residential, regardless of which pieces. So these are the standards for buffers.
Right, but there's no specific proposed use on 46. You said warehouses, and there's no use there.
Some of the uses that are permitted by conditional use would be warehouse. Warehouse is a permitted use by conditional use. I'm just letting the commission know what the actual setbacks and requirements are if it were a warehouse use that were to come back as a conditional use. I know they've got the driveway built in. I don't know if there's a way to modify how it comes into the subdivision of, commercial lots. That's something that would have to be designed at engineering. But the industrial separations are 50 and 75 buffer and setback with a wall, or 75 and 100 with anything other than the wall. So I know there's no proposed uses. I'm not saying there's proposed uses. I just know that warehouses are one of the ones that could occur under GC2 with a conditional use. So that being said, this would be the normal requirement. The PD has these in place, but part of the reason that the commission considered the use of reductions was just based on that buffer.
Right. So this was agreed upon for permitted uses under GC2.
Yeah.
And we're asking for the ability to do conditional uses. And if a conditional use came in, then you could address additional buffering at that time. But this, what's here is what's allowed today with all of the permitted uses under GC2. Conditional use by definition is something that you can condition the approval on. So you could address the buffer depending on the use that's being proposed.
So the existing PD allows a 15-foot buffer on
What's
parcels
on
1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, well, maybe you should turn it up, it's upside down.
It should be on here, right?
Right, but you just need to turn it the other way. Turn it up. It's upside down. Yeah, and you all have this in front of you, right? This is the map on the back side.
There we go.
So,
Okay, so my question is, under the current PD, if they did the commercial that's allowed, could they follow this plan?
Yes.
Okay.
So the commercial that's allowed, restaurant, retail, those types of commercial use.
But if they were to come in with a conditional use, we could require a larger buffer.
Yes.
For the conditional use, but you've said you can't get to a 35-foot buffer.
So just to clear up some things too, because we talked about this back when Russ Gibson was around, enjoyed him a lot. But the wall fence issue on the back is one issue. But again, from a buffer standpoint, the only thing you're buffering with the plants that don't get 6 feet high is the commercial side. Because from a distance standpoint, we will always meet that based on the fact that the road's there. So it was more than 35 feet. Like I said earlier, it's like from the buildings. But from the property line, you're talking, I mean, you see where the building is. It's at least 100 feet from that property line to the back of that building. So, you know, we can set it up so the buildings are far away. But we're certainly available, and this is what we've done in the past, to put in trees and landscaping that actually does create a buffer between the residential behind it and the commercial in front.
Okay, you just
No one's going to see the bushes. So the distance on a buffer is there. The plant material can also be there in the 15-foot section, but the distance is there. The buffer width. So you're seeing the plants and all the stuff that you put in based on that buffer width by the commercial only. Because the wall's on the property line. And their road, you see where the road is, it's right up against that fence.
Eileen, can you come back, break it down to me about the wall now, the buffer where the wall is, because now we started talking about landscape and stuff and it threw me off.
Okay, what you see here is approved. If they were to go in with general commercial uses, as it stands right now, no conditional uses, no automotive, no warehousing, nothing that falls into that conditional use requirement. So if they were to come in with a restaurant, a retail, an office, any of those permitted by right, general commercial uses, they could build it like this because this is what the master plan says. Okay. This, though, as part of the PD negotiations, is a concession from what our standard code is. Our standard code for commercial to residential requires a 50-foot setback on building, which there's no argument. Right now, the design they have shown here has a 50-foot setback. But the buffer is required at 25. It's only 15 before you hit the road. The buffer doesn't include the road. There's a 15-foot buffer that was agreed upon in the original PD.
Why doesn't the buffer include the road? I'm just asking.
A buffer is green space. A buffer is trees, landscaping, that type of thing.
Okay.
It's separation and setback. The road is part of that. It separates that building that's commercial from the fence, from the residential. But it's not green space, it's not open, it's not trees, landscaping, hedging, and whatever else, you know, is deemed appropriate for a buffer.
Okay.
So it's just the setback they can meet. There's plenty of room. The road falls in the setback. The buffer is already reduced, but it's allowed as is. But it's allowed with a fence, and it's only the general commercial uses. if there were going to be anything more intense, that's what the applicant is noting, that you could put a more restrictive buffer separation at that time, if that's the route the commission.
So hypothetically, if they are going with the warehouses, they would need to put up a wall. 'Cause
Well, this
they're
is a
short.
separate, this is the piece on 46. But
Okay.
if they were to build a warehouse
Mhm.
or a car, you know, a car wash or
Mhm.
anything like that that requires conditional use,
Mhm.
at that time, the commission could place additional restrictions, is what they're asking,
Okay.
to just allow them the opportunity to do that. So the staff recommendation that came before you included the ability for them.
If you can, I just want to make sure that you're clarifying for the mayor and the commissioners, lots 1, 2, and 3, which is on 46, separate from the other lots, I think 7, 8, or 8 and 9.
Right now, we're only talking about the ones on 46. The ones on White Cedar are separate. Those are the warehouses, the condo warehouses. This is a separate piece.
Then it's really confusing then, because
Right.
even when we go into our motion, they're talking about two separate things, lots 8 and 9, and then lots 1, 2, and 3.
And that's what the Planning and Zoning Commission ended up doing, was two separate motions. That's what's in that, in front of you. Because they recommended denial on the ones on White Cedar, just due to the proximity, the fact that they're warehouses, the unknowns, and being that adjacent to single family. The ones on 46, they recommended approval, subject to those conditional uses coming back before the city commission. And then they did restrict out a few uses, which they're asking to be stricken from that restriction.
But it's all in the same, like, parcel. Never mind. It don't make sense to me. Like how we approving, I know, because one is on 46 and then we got three separate parcels there.
on 46 that we're looking
But I know, but you're saying, well, where's the other?
The other
We're
two
talking
face
about the
White
same-
Cedar.
Huh?
The other two face White Cedar. They
But-
face a different road.
Okay, but again, I'm still confused.
Hold on. We're going to make it so we don't have to
Yeah.
switch back and
Yeah.
forth from Elmo to PowerPoint, Elmo to PowerPoint. So this is State Road 46 on the south side. Right here are the 3 lots in question that we're discussing right now. Immediately behind it are the townhome portion. So they're single-family attached. And this is the 15-foot buffer separation between a fence that sits on the property line, 15 feet, and then the road.
Okay, so where's lots 8 and 9?
Up at the top,
Okay.
here, in front of the single-family detached that is on White Cedar.
And
they're both
across from the
backed up to
industrial across the
residential.
street.
Backed up to the residential, but it was initially put there to separate them from the industrial.
Okay, so that's how it was confusing to me, because we kept talking about a road that was separate, and I'm looking at something totally different. We're looking at different parcels.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And I suggest we wrap up 1, 2, and 3 before we move on to 8 and 9.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
So these comments were all directed towards the ordinance that was covering 1, 2, and 3.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable with striking number 8.
Me either, Commissioner Thomas. I had a note on that one, too.
Are
On
we
the
saying we
uses.
cannot put decorative and functional fountains into the existing retention pond?
That's not.
That's
I think
9.
they're already there.
The ponds are built. That's a
Yeah, that's
standard
10.
comment that is in, like, all the PDs. It's actually in the original development order. And it's actually in our code now. Originally, we were doing it before it was codified. Now it's codified. It's just a standard condition.
But the ponds already have fountains, right?
They should.
Do they?
All wet ponds should have fountains.
Okay. Yeah, my question wasn't about the ponds, but whether or not the fountains were there.
Why is laundromats lumped in with the rest on 8?
I had a question about that.
It's typically due to loitering and those types of, sort of, a lot of people hang around it. They're inside, outside.
Okay, so coin
Yeah,
laundry, not.
Right. Laundromat, not dry cleaner.
Okay.
Laundromat.
All
It
right.
just has a tendency to have a lot of people gathered around, and since it is next to a neighborhood that's residential.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had those restrictions in our code for a reason, for a while. I don't know why we'd want to leave that out. I understand if we're saying any conditional uses have to come before us, fine, but.
Well, and the laundromat is a conditional use.
Oh, we might come back to that, but I have another question about lighting. We were talking a little bit about lighting. Will there be lighting because these are condominium warehouses?
So now we're talking about 8 and 9.
No, we want to stay on 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, sorry.
Make a note.
Let me write that down so I don't forget it.
We need a little note wall. We're going to stick it up there for talking later.
And Eileen, I don't recall the P and Z prohibiting these uses. I think that got put in the ordinance. I don't think they discussed that.
I don't think they discussed it. It was one of the original conditions. It just never got brought up. It should be in the original staff report that went to them. And they said all conditions recommended by staff. If it's not in there,
Our car wash, vehicle repair, light warehouse, and light manufacturing, are those GC2 uses or are those conditional use uses?
Vehicular service is conditional.
yes. All the vehicular uses are conditional except for a rental office, and that's 10 cars or less, like the enterprise satellite type office. And then, what were the? Outdoor storage is conditional use, indoor storage is conditional use, warehouse is conditional use.
Okay.
Pharmacy have all kinds of other restrictions.
It's permitted with restrictions.
Right, it's got all kinds of other restrictions, separations and distances.
All right. Any more
I
questions?
know bail bond is permitted, but laundromat is conditional. Go figure.
All right, you all ready to close the public hearing? Oh, no, we gotta check and see if the public wants to speak first. Do y'all have anything else?
Are you closing?
I don't think so.
On 1, 2, and 3, because we're gonna come back and talk about 8 and 9.
Okay, so I'm going to sit.
Yeah. Okay. So anyone in the audience wish to speak on this item, specifically parcels 1, 2, and 3? Okay. Seeing no one, I'll bring it back to the commission. If we were to approve this, I would want a wall and a 50-foot buffer for any conditional uses.
Hold on, conditional uses, a 50-foot, you would want a wall.
A wall and a 50-foot buffer for conditional uses.
But those would have to come back to us anyway.
Right.
Right,
I'm just
so-
spelling out, when you come back, here's what we're looking for to start with.
All right,
So
so
you want that as a,
That's the standard for just commercial, right?
okay, hold on. I had them all pulled up and I had to change pages to look up.
That's what I wrote down.
Do you want, well, are you putting these as conditions in this development order now? Or are
No.
you looking to just put it on the record that a
Yes.
conditional use that comes back later will get this condition?
No, I wanted as a condition, if they bring back a conditional use request,
it will need to have a 50-foot buffer and a wall,
And are you counting the 50-foot to include the road or not include the road?
not including the road.
So they would have to readjust
They would have
how
to
the
move the road.
driveway comes into the entry, but nothing's built at this time.
Right.
So,
Which they could do to two of them. They could just move it, to have the road bend over for parcels 2
Yeah.
and 3.
Better they know that ahead of time.
That's a really big buffer, though. Wait, y'all got, you
so
got the
standard
road.
commercial, the buffer is 25.
Oh, 25, I'm
With a
sorry.
50-foot setback
Okay, 25.
with the
Foot
wall.
buffer and a
Right.
wall. Thank you.
Okay, so does that need to go in the motion? Or is that just
That's just his statement.
the,
That's just my thought. If we want to approve this, that is a condition I would want added.
okay,
But if it is made as a motion, I would include it in the motion.
okay. So I move to approve ordinance 20254836 on first reading, amending the plan development zoning for only 4.22 acre portion of lots 1, 2, and 3 of Cedar Point PD, aka Thornbrook, to increase the intensity and modify the standards for the commercial land uses along State Road 46, allowing GC2 zoning, and to allow the ability to request associated conditional uses, which are a wall and a 25-foot buffer based on the consistency with the goals and objectives and policies of the city's comprehensive plan as outlined by staff and subject to a development order that includes all staff and commission recommended conditions.
That's good?
Yeah.
Second.
Yes?
Did you consider any of the changes I proposed to the ordinance?
Any of the red?
Red.
Yes.
All right,
The motion was.
would include all of those. The first one, I would say, we're not outwardly allowing those uses. We're allowing the opportunity to seek future conditional use. So that strikeout is correct.
They've made it more restrictive on themselves. That's what it appears to me, is that they removed the request to include car wash, vehicle repair, or any of those things.
Yeah.
It just put them through conditional use.
The second whereas, do you have a problem striking that one?
Well, first, it's just a whereas, it's not a condition. But the whereas is stating that they're seeking to increase the intensity. And I don't mean intensity by floor area ratio, intensity of use.
Okay.
So an automotive use is more intense than a, let's say an office, a dentist's office, or a restaurant. An automotive use is more intense. But I understand what they were getting at in terms of intensity, but that's not what the intensity meant. And then modifying the standards, that's where the issue comes in. If we go with a higher, more intense use, like something that gets a conditional use later, it does modify those standards because the requirements are different, depending on what they're doing.
So we should leave the statement in
And
the
they've already gotten
whereas.
modified standards in this PD. So,
So leave the statement in the whereas.
yeah, it's just basically stating that what they're asking for includes these things. And it is reduced standards, even though it was originally in the original PD, it's still reduced standards because you're not bringing them up to standard as part of this approval.
Okay, and number one is a standard condition of ours, isn't it?
That is in our code,
Okay.
that in 3 years, if the infrastructure isn't built, but that doesn't really apply to this because the infrastructure was built as part of the overall PD, but it is a standard element of every PD. Unless you're counting the road they have to build, but they don't have to build anything until they build one thing, and then we'll require the infrastructure.
Okay.
But the water, the sewer, the roads, the connections, the storm, all of that is generally in. So it's a standard condition that's required, but it shouldn't impact them to expire in 3 years. It didn't expire now, and they haven't built in 10,
Okay.
15.
All right. 3, we sort of took care of by requiring the larger buffer if
It's a conditional use. Otherwise, our landscaping code would dictate what they have to do.
Right, if they proceed to develop as it is now and they don't add any additional uses, they can develop as it is if you approve it, if you approve the motion you're considering. If what they showed you as a potential design would be something they could build. The additional landscaping was out of concern for the separation and buffering of the residences behind them for any further future intense use. But you've already put on the record what you anticipate and expect if they should come back.
Okay.
So I think that supersedes this.
So we can leave 3 out. Does it matter whether we say as required by the exceptional use process? It says it has to come back, period.
Well, they've made it so that I'd have to double check what we did on the exceptional use process because that was one of the codes that we most recently adopted. But the way it's worded is that it has to be approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Commission. The way they want it worded is like this, the PD rezone, where the Planning and Zoning Commission makes a recommendation and this board makes the final action. But that's totally up to the City Commission to determine whether or not that's the direction you want to go. Do you want final action or do you want 2 approvals? Because if they get denied at the conditional use at the Planning and Zoning Commission, it's done. They don't even get to come back to you.
Well, then it seems like it would be to their benefit not to change that one.
No,
No,
no.
No?
because that way if P&Z says no, it ends there. The way it's written right now. If P&Z says no, it ends
okay.
there. If P&Z says no,
So they can appeal it to
under
us.
this, they can get a second chance
Okay.
to plead their case and maybe make modifications, work with staff, any of that, to get a final action by City Commission.
But our adopted process would have it end if it's denied at the P&Z level, correct?
The way this is written, it says the conditional use must be heard and approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Commission. So if the Planning and Zoning Commission says deny, it doesn't go any further because it's not, the end doesn't apply.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Gives you the final say.
Thoughts on that one?
Are we establishing any precedents here that might be of concern?
Every PD is individual.
Yeah,
It just really depends. And this is a unique,
Okay.
it is a unique location because you're modifying something that was part of an original PD. So it's not like you're coming in with a new PD and you're making concessions along the way. This is a specific use, and it really is dependent upon what the City Commission wants to see.
Okay, and we're leaving number 8 in.
I'd like to leave number 8 in.
Yeah.
And number 10 is moot.
Yes. I have no concern.
And 11 allows a comprehensive sign program without the residential?
Residential's already built and signed.
Yeah.
Right. Typically, what we try and do is have the commercial match in style and shape and size to the residential as part of the whole PD. So that's why it's written like that. So when the commercial comes in, if there's stone bottoms on the Thornbrook signs, they should match the signs that are in the commercial for their monument style or any entry signs, things like that. Like we did at Southgate, all those restaurants have the same type signage as the apartments behind it. But I mean, that also is just up to the determination of the commission. If you want to see something different along State Road 46 and the commercial at White Cedar, a comprehensive sign program for their commercial stuff would be, I mean,
Is
appropriate on
anybody going to
46.
realize that those are part of Thornbrook? Unless we make the signs look the same. What do y'all think about that one? Let them do their signs?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so if I was counting, we accepted 11, 10. I forgot what we did with 6.
I don't think you
6
landed,
we
you
left as
skipped
is,
it.
we are accepting that.
So we were not accepting 6.
No.
I
No?
think you did.
Accepting their changes?
Yeah, the determination is, do you want it to stop in P and Z, or do you want to have an opportunity to review it?
I mean, typically, we allow people to do that, don't we? If P and Z denies.
Well, if P and Z denies it, there's always the appeal process, but that's a whole
Yeah.
different, I mean, they have the opportunity to come to you, it's just more process to get here.
I'm okay with number 6. Are the rest of y'all okay with number 6?
If it comes to us, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So is anybody keeping track? Because I've forgotten already.
Yep. You got.
So we're,
That's okay.
we're
as
accepting
is.
11.
10 and 11.
Yeah.
We are not accepting 8. We are accepting 6. We can accept 3 because our additional condition covers that.
And we
No,
don't
no,
have any
you-
concerns about the types of,
That's in our landscape code.
it's in
Right.
the landscape code, okay?
Yeah, and yeah, if they build it as is now, it is what it is. If they change anything and come before you with a conditional use, you can do whatever
Okay.
you may want to modify from the code at that time.
All
Okay,
right.
we're good with that one?
So we'll accept number 3.
Hold on.
No?
Except the deletion of 3, because you've replaced that with the condition that, so 3 can come out.
Right, so, okay, if we start at the beginning, the first whereas we're going to include in the ordinance.
Yes.
The second whereas, we're going to leave it alone just because it's for clarification of why we're here. The number 1, we've decided it's a standard, it can go or stay, it's up to you. If you guys want to have it in the ordinance because it's standard on every one of our PDs. If not, it is in the code, either way.
We'll keep it.
Okay, so we'll keep number 1. Number 3, you've decided that we're going to leave that to whatever next public hearing occurs.
Yes.
So that one's being deleted as they requested.
No, I thought we were keeping 3. We're keeping, because that's the buff, you said that's what the standard is anyway, the buffer thing.
No, if they do a conditional use, we increase the buffer and require a wall. Otherwise, they do what code calls for them to do right now.
Mhm.
So the only reason that would change is if they do a conditional use.
All right,
Right?
so,
Okay.
Correct. Okay, and then, the blue, I believe, was just language for explanation?
Yes.
Okay, and then number 6, you're going to keep it as they've proposed, not the way it's in the ordinance, but keep it as they've proposed so that there's opportunity for them to see both the planning and zoning and this, regardless of whether the planning and zoning approves or denies. It'll come as a recommendation, not an action.
Okay.
Number 8, you wanted to keep.
Yes.
So you're striking their request to get rid of 8.
mhm.
We're keeping 8,
Striking their strike through.
right? 10, it's in code, it's somewhat irrelevant. They should have fountains in their wet ponds, and it should have ongoing maintenance by the responsibility of the HOAs. And then last is the comprehensive sign program. I believe that you landed that you would let them do the commercial as their own individual comprehensive sign programs that don't have to be incorporated into the overall Thornbrook.
correct.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Breton, do you accept all of those in your motion?
Yes, sir, I do.
Commissioner,
How's that for a good compromise?
who was the second?
Aye.
Okay. Do you accept all those in your second?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for catching that.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Okay, on to 8 and 9. Do I need more public hearing? Was there anybody in the audience that wished to speak specifically on 8 and 9?
Yeah.
Okay, and does the applicant have any more comments on 8 and 9?
I don't think so. Is there anything we can clarify or help you out with?
Lighting,
I'm sorry?
the lighting.
Oh, the lighting, that's right.
So,
What's your question?
there will be security lighting, presumably. Will that be structured in such a way that it will not impact the residents nearby?
So I think the way code is probably right now, it's probably more than you would want next to a residence. We would like low level. We'll have security cameras, so everybody will have their own security in their buildings. But that would be something that zoning would dictate as to what we have to do for lighting. My preference is the least amount of lighting.
Okay.
I wouldn't want big lights throughout, but I can tell you, when we met with them originally, they were saying, well, you're gonna have to put up like 6 street lights. I'm like, I don't think you're gonna really want those lights there. But again, that'll be dictated by zoning, correct?
There are some safety requirement minimums, but in general, it requires a 0 light level at the property line. So, I mean, we have pretty low levels of lighting, especially adjacent to residential, and then
Okay.
obviously at the entry and where people are driving, because you
Obviously, she
don't
doesn't
want.
have an FPL pool near her house.
Yeah, that was a different topic. And then as far as security goes, if there were, let's say, 5 of 6 of the condominiums, all of their alarms went off at once, it wouldn't be any different than any other warehousing or alarms that
And we could
neighbors
make
would
those
hear.
actually silent alarms in the declarations. And I don't mind even going to the city with our condominium docs so that they can, I mean, I'm not against them being able to approve things that get changed down the road. So, I mean, we want to make this win-win. We're looking for a nice, clean, quiet park. I think it'll be a great use next to that residential subdivision. I mean, right now, they back up to industrial and not, I mean, it's nice, it's tilt-up those are 30-foot buildings. They're looking at those things. They're not going to see ours. Ours are 18 feet, and there will be a tree buffer. So we have a 25-foot buffer that's already built into that site on the backside. You don't see it there. But we can't build in that to start with. But we can put trees in there.
Yeah.
And there's already a fence in it. And I believe that subdivision actually sits higher than the property we're looking to develop. So they're really not going to see it. It's going to be a good neighbor. We have no, I mean, there will be a noise ordinance in our declarations. I guarantee you that is not going to be the problem because they're going to police themselves.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm just trying to put myself in the position of the residents that are sitting next to these and what the impact will be for them.
No, and I agree with that. I understand the concern. I do think ours is going to be a very low impact. I mean, less than a school.
Yeah.
I mean, if I put a school in there, it's going to be a
Less
lot
than a
louder
school.
than what we're going to put in. So.
There's currently a 25-foot buffer on the plans. Is that what's being kept?
Yes.
It's existing, actually. On the back on the school, right. Or, I'm sorry, the subdivision?
Yeah.
That's actually an existing easement.
So was staff recommending a 35-foot buffer there if it was approved?
I don't think they got around the conditions. I think they were just a,
I'd have to go back and look at the original staff report. Maybe in your packet.
And if we were to approve this, and I'm not saying we would we be able to turn the buildings so there's a solid wall of buildings against the subdivision rather than the 2 open spaces where the drive entrances are?
oh, let's put a,
We would just have to have our civil guy take a look at that and see. You know, our biggest concern there was that you can always get a fire truck through. So that dictates a lot of the way we design these. So you can get a fire truck that can come all the way in and around. So we would have to look at that. I mean, in the end, we have to decide whether or not it's financially feasible. So if we get, and right now we have 20 units in there, it works. But, you know, if we can only get 16 units, maybe it doesn't work. So that's something we would have to look at from the civil versus the financially feasible, whether or not we would move forward with that. So I'm sorry, what's your concern about the opening?
Can we put that picture up?
I'm looking at it.
To answer your earlier question, it appears that the 35-foot buffer was intended for both White Cedar and 46. So we've stricken it from the 46, but it's still,
Okay. So, you know, I'm looking at here where you drive in and there's open space right behind this. And so noise from this one would be heading in, as opposed to if they were all the backs of the building, I think there would be less noise.
so I think what he's recommending is rotating those
Right,
last
we
two
would have to look and see how that
90
works
degree.
as far as circulation, and whether or not that affects the number of units, and whether or not the number of units affects the feasibility. But again, that would actually, we would take that into concern right now. We'll take a look at that with our civil. There currently exists a fence that goes that whole line along the housing,
And then there's the easement behind it.
and then the easement.
Anybody else? Comments on this one? The other thing, I would want a wall, too.
I would want a wall too, sir.
Yeah,
If we were to
we approve, I agree with that.
Mhm.
Because especially we're keeping a 25-foot buffer. Because now we're warehouses, and warehouses should be 50 feet, right?
Right.
Correct.
We can't make it the use that the warehouses are turned, like you had recommended, Mayor. We can't make that a condition.
Yeah.
You can, and it's first reading,
Mhm.
so you should be able to put the conditions in. They can always change by second, but the applicant still has to agree to the conditions before the second reading is adopted.
And they could come back and say, there's no way we can do that, in which case,
Reopens the public hearing
Yeah.
discussion.
What, how do you want them turned?
I want this just to be a row of, like these, I just want a row across there, so that I don't have this open space right behind that house, and this open space right behind that house.
I'm assuming because that reduces the noise. The
I'm
way that
guessing it would reduce the noise.
And the wall would be on the back end of that?
You would have to, if we're going to only have a 25-foot buffer, then I think there needs to be a wall there.
And that drawing's a little off in that there's a lot to the right, or to the left. It doesn't exist. The CAD didn't allow that to actually be in there, so it's a little off.
Yeah, we don't actually, this property doesn't front on this.
No, that's
There's
right.
another lot here. But Calvin has said he could look at the layout between first and second reading.
And I believe that 25-foot buffer that you see is that easement. I'm just guessing, but I've always thought that was actually had to do with the master drainage. You gotta understand that that's gonna be a fire station to the right of us. So that's gonna be a more intense than anything that we're actually
Yeah,
doing
right.
out of ours.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to be a fire
And
station
not
anytime
that
soon.
I do love fire station, but,
That's what we wanted it to be.
no, I agree. So what I'm saying is that's a fire station. That's gonna be
Yeah.
more intense than anything that we're actually doing. But I think that, that buffer actually has to do with the drainage that gets to the drainage on the other side. That's where the master retention is. So it's a buffer that can't be built.
Well, there's always a little person sitting on one of my shoulders that says, the other option is always to not build. Just because we have empty space, it doesn't mean we have to fill it.
Well, that's
Just
easy when
sharing
you're
with
sitting
you.
on when you're sitting on the property, you know, you're not,
Oh, except we've already zoned it to be developed and it is appropriate. Never mind.
I mean, there goes to Eileen's presentation.
It's that little ghost on my shoulder there.
you know, what do we accept?
Do something with it. Is this the right way to go?
Years ago, we had a planning director who thought that if you were not pouring concrete, you were not doing your job, and it doesn't matter what you were pouring, as long as you were pouring concrete.
We like our planning director.
All right.
Well, I told you folks this was going to require you to think outside the box. This is a very low intensity, low profile, low impact use to transition you from residential to the industrial on the other side.
Good point.
But it's in the details of what's actually in those warehouses.
Exactly.
And what does the HOA approve and not approve? Like I said, I'm intrigued by the concept.
Yes.
I can't afford one.
You could if you lived in it.
No, that won't be allowed.
Oh.
That will not be allowed.
All right. Okay, what do you want to do?
To clarify, did I hear that you were open to allowing the city to approve the HOA documents?
I'm not against.
I heard it.
Calvin, up at the mic, please. I'm trying to get.
Well,
I
there's
wanna make sure the
presenting
court
it
reporter gets
to, and
everything
then
out.
there's allowing us to approve it.
There are other,
I just want to be clear, I was not asking about presentation.
Right.
I was asking about whether I had heard an agreement to allow the city input and approval as to the HOA documents. Some of what we're hearing is intrigued, but where?
right.
And some of the issues with the location.
So the documents that we've been working with, we don't have a finished document for this one here especially, but they're pretty standard throughout a lot of it. My background is real estate, and so I've seen a lot of condo docs for commercial pieces, whether they're office or industrial. They're pretty standard, and we would be happy to present those and get that approval. I don't see a problem with it. They're pretty standardized.
I want to clarify, I was not asking for a presentation. Presentation does not give the city input, it does not give the city authority. I'm asking, is there an agreement to allow the city to approve and have input as to what is contained in those HOA documents?
I would, I can't, this is not my client, this is the project developer, but I would say, I told you earlier, we've made representations about uses and restrictions and hours of operation and other operational controls that we intend to put in the condo documents. And I've invited you to mirror those conditions and limitations on uses and hours of control in your documents, in your approval. To the extent you want to review the HOA documents to make sure we're mirroring what you've approved, yes, yes. I go to a lot, I'm a land use lawyer, I go to a lot of hearings, and I hear a lot of people come up to a podium and say, you can't approve that because our condo docs don't allow it, but your code does. And you have to tell those folks that's a private civil matter. And it complicates things for the residents because they think they have an entitlement under the condo docs, but you don't have to honor that. Let's avoid that in this and make sure that we're in agreement on use restrictions.
You mean actually get on the same page?
Yes.
Eileen, where would that go, though? We approve this, when would be our opportunity to put other restrictions on?
So are you putting it in the hands of staff and the attorney, or are you putting it in the hands of the city commission? Because you would have to put an additional condition to say that the condominium docs would have to come back to commission for review.
I trust staff.
Yeah, or the final, but can the final DO or the final approval include conditions in the HOA docs that we do not know now?
The final approval of the development plan?
Of what, anything, whatever the final approval would be before they start construction?
Okay, so they would have
We
to.
have an opportunity to add code requirements.
Right, after, I mean, you can put trying to think how, and maybe Ms. Green can assist, but you can put something in that says, prior to issuance of a site development permit, the city shall have the authority to review and approve the HOA docs to assure alignment with the plan development documents, or something along those lines.
And just understanding, and that's why I was very clear, the difference between presentation and approval, it would still not give us the authority without their consent to dictate what is in those documents. And so that's,
Right.
after 2 minutes, the answer is no. They're not in agreement to have us make that determination. So we would just have language that says we agree, or the condition that we approve or review them as part of the approval process.
Can I say something? I think what you're going to find is that, you go to zoning, zoning looks at the building height, they look at the size, they look at the setbacks and all that. But they look at the condominium docs, the declaration. So if they read those and think that that is not in line with what is being approved physically, I would think they have the right to say, no, we're not going to support this. I'm assuming that they're going to support it based on not only the physical, but these declarations as well. And
But there's not an opportunity for that to take place.
I would think that's
Well,
part of it.
it's not part of our standard development review process, but you can make it a condition of the development review process. So it's one more thing for us.
So we have to approve the HOA docs for the construction to go forward.
Right, so as part of the development plan approval process, staff has to agree that the HOA docs are consistent with the PD approval and all other city codes.
I think because this is an intriguing new idea that we like, we're trying to take the extra step here to make sure that once everything is done, ready to go, there's still some level of comfort we have with how they'll be used going forward.
No, and I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other thing I'd want to consider is that residential noise standards apply.
What?
In our noise ordinance, the residential standards apply.
Yeah.
Yes.
As
I thought
opposed
that would
to
be the
commercial.
catch-22 anyway.
Well, I'd assume that it does anyway. So.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well,
Never
no, because
assume.
So there is an agreement then that the residential noise standards would apply to this project?
To the condos.
Yeah, there's different levels of what
Yeah.
residential is different from the commercial.
If you're commercial, you can have louder levels than if you're residential. And since you're right next to residential, I want you to have the same as they do.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
So that would have to
Now
be
we're
a
talking.
condition in your approval as well.
Ooh, it's a lot of them.
So you want a wall with golden lions, you want
Yes. No, they
final approval of HOA docs, you want
appreciate your
Reorient
patience
the
here.
buildings.
reorient the buildings.
Reorient buildings,
And residential noise requirements.
residential noise
apply.
standards, HOA docs, wall.
And then are you keeping the 35-foot as recommended by staff, or the 25-foot that currently exists?
I'd like 35 feet, but I put in a wall. Do you want 35 feet and a wall?
I don't know that they
I'm
can
not
make
sure
it
they can
work
do
with
35 feet in a
10.
wall.
You wanted the wall in lieu of the 35 feet,
Yeah, I don't
right?
think they can do 35 feet.
He wants the wall
Can
in
they
lieu of
do
35.
the fence doesn't impede the drainage that's currently in that easement, correct?
I just know that that's an easement. I'm assuming that, because it goes all the way from Narcissus to all the way to that pond.
Right.
So I don't know if that was a cross-access originally, because, I mean, the whole thing was a PUD originally, right? And then when the market went south, they decided to do residential, and that's why it switched out of what probably would have been approved easily for us to where it is now. So I don't know what that easement, I have a feeling it's more drainage than anything else, but I don't think there's a pipe that exists.
Well, there are
right now.
trees in it.
Right. I just want to make sure the footers of a,
There's trees in our drawing. It's all cleared. That from Narcissus all the way to the pond is relatively cleared. I think the fire station
Just
still has
on a photo?
a bit on there.
Those are
I don't know how old Google Maps is, but
those
there
are
trees
fake
in there
trees,
now.
like
Yeah,
that
those
other
are-
project on 46.
It looks like this, at least as of this image.
Are there trees there now? Okay.
They could have been cleared since this picture was
Aerial.
taken. Let's see.
It's relatively clear.
yeah.
As of February, they were there.
It looks to me like that easement runs on either side of the property line.
Yeah, I don't see any trees.
What?
I don't see any trees, certainly not what's on the.
David has
picture.
confirmed that it is a drainage easement.
I just want to make sure that if you put the requirement for a wall, it doesn't
That's
impede
his
any
problem.
element
Can,
of
is
that
this,
drainage easement.
is this something we can,
Yes.
can,
Yeah,
can we talk about this on second reading when we have some more
Yes, ma'am.
information?
So,
I would
Okay.
include it in your motion at this time so that Ms. Green and I can put the ordinance together for second reading. It's easier to strike a condition than to add one.
I got every condition except for this last one, which is the buffer. Because what I have is the final development order, includes the conditions and code requirements to include a wall. The city shall have authority to approve or review the final HOA documents, adhere to the residential noise ordinance requirement, and revision of the reorientation of buildings. There's one more. That's the buffer part, right?
Yeah, making it a 35-foot buffer instead of 25. Right?
Making it a 35-foot buffer with the wall.
No, 35 with a wall. And then we'll talk about it next time.
All right, does that require the whole motion? I move to approve ordinance number, is this the same ordinance, 2025-4836? On first reading to amend the Cedar Point PD.
You don't have an ordinance number for this.
Yeah, it's the same ordinance.
It's the
just
same
We're
ordinance.
adding it.
You're gonna
into
add it?
that.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
originally it wasn't in it because the Planning and Zoning
Okay.
Commission recommended denial, but it's the same ordinance.
This is for lots 8 and 9, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure, okay. I move to approve ordinance 2025-4836 on first reading to amend the Cedar Point PD standards to amend the planned development zoning for only the 2-acre portion, lots 8 and 9 of the Cedar Point PD, AKA Thornbrook, to increase the intensity and modify the standards for the commercial land uses along White Cedar Road by allowing warehouse uses in addition to the permitted RC1 zoning uses based on consistency with the goals, objectives, and policies of the city comprehensive plan and subject to the development order that includes the city having final authority and/or review of the final HOA documents, adhere to.
Final review, not authority, right?
Approve, well, it says have authority to approve or review the final HOA documents. Adhere to the residential noise ordinance requirements, include a wall and a 35-foot buffer, and the revision and reorientation of the buildings. That includes all staff and city recommended conditions.
Is it?
Hold on.
That sounded right to me. And then we'll come
Yeah.
back and hash out the details next meeting.
That's right.
Move to approve? Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Wait, I made the motion, so how did he move to? I moved to approve, so Carrie would have to second.
Commissioner Wiggins is second.
My bad. Second. All right. Third.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously.
And we'll see
Thank
you
you
next
very
time.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
And
Now
I
get off
assume
your leg.
what?
Now get off your leg.
Yeah, and Eileen, you'll work with me on the ordinance language in between now and second reading?
Yes.
Okay.
Staff reports are due back to the clerk's office by Wednesday.
Like Wednesday, tomorrow? Day after tomorrow? Yeah, okay.
Well, it might be. No. Take care of yourself.
Okay, that brings us to citizen participation. I do have one request from Mary Snipes.
Yay, Mary. Oh, no.
I'm impressed with your knees. I've been impressed. Look at her. He's had one and I've had two. Mary Snipes, excuse me, been a long time sitting there. 4440 South Summerlin, and there is an N in my name. I'm not Sipes, I'm Snipes. I saw in something that was spelled wrong. Just want to readdress something that, if you remember, or may remember, that I had been upset that I did not have a working street light on my block, and then myself and my neighbors were upset that our street was illuminated like a ball field. Then shields that directed the light were added, and for now, everyone does seem pleased. I recently learned that James Beard suddenly passed away, and I felt ashamed of myself that I had not thanked him for his effort. I'm going to guess that he thought giving us 4 street lights in our neighborhood would make us happy. In his last email to me, he said, "I drove by there this morning, you're all lit up. It may be late, but I want to thank him for all his efforts, as I would like to thank all the city's employees, all the city employees in Sanford for what they do for us."
Thank you, Mary.
Also, as their commissioners, I know you don't get a lot of gratitude on Facebook and things, but I do know that you care and try. So thank you. I'd like to call out my Parks and Rec, because I hang out at the Senior Citizens Center now. And I love our 7-6 exercise classes they've added for us. And I also hang out at the museum, and they do a lot with not much, especially, but they do a lot of things. I especially want to call out Brigitte. She is so creative, energetic, and full of Sanford history. So those are 2 things that I'm really enjoying at Sanford. So to close, I've been thinking a lot this weekend, and I keep wondering, why do we sometimes have to get angry to get things done in our city? And is that not a better way to reduce conflicts? So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak to the commission? Then,
I only get angry at Art. I don't get angry at anybody else.
join the crowd.
He can handle it.
Papers up where I was trying to explain myself before. I told you I dealt with the city.
Mayor,
It's a check that I wrote to the city.
she wants to speak.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, I could pass out copies. I'll get copies. Let me explain myself. My name is Darlene Campbell, and 2.5 years ago, my husband passed away. And in order to straighten out his situation, we was dealing with code enforcement, because the property I bidded on years ago had violations, but the city was trying to buy it also, and they even got on the news saying they was going to knock down the house that was on it. Anyway, I inherited all those bills that they said that they took over. I paid the bill on the 23rd, and then I was getting billed again while I was dealing with code enforcement. I can't understand why you would come after a low-income senior citizen with a handicap over money that I just paid, and then you billing me again. I thought that was very unfair, and nobody wants to talk to me, and I want to be able to go to my people and ask before I go to a lawyer, because this is not fair. I just paid $11,000 out of my little bit of money from my husband's estate. And the same time when I got the check, paid the check, code enforcement was getting in touch with me. They didn't never get in touch with me. They never called me, but they knew of me. The lady was talking directly to me. So I can't understand why they couldn't raise the phone or send a note, because I didn't know the rules and the regulations of having a house, and that my mail was going to the house that we was in question about to fix, to get the estate sold, right? I paid the money. Meanwhile, they sent me, I have all the paperwork. I made sure I got the paper. I wanted y'all to see it, because on 10/23 of the 23, they got the check. They knew who I was. They could have easily called me because they were dealing with me, because we had to straighten out everything through Mrs. the lady that just retired. So she knew me, so I couldn't understand why would they come after me again. I'm poor. Why, if I give you $11,000, why are you coming for me and letting it build up to its $20,000 again? And you know who I am. That's not fair. And I'm asking for them to dismiss this code because I paid right then and they could have got in touch with me. I got all the paperwork to show y'all.
Ma'am, didn't you come before us before?
Yes, I did.
Yes, I
And
remember that.
I couldn't explain myself because I got excited. But I have the check and the code enforcement at the same time. They could have, what you call them? I can't think of her name right now. She could have called me and said, Miss Campbell, I don't know where that mail's not getting to you. Did you go and change the information? I didn't know that. When you buy property 12, 13 years ago, Sanford was back in the woods. They were slow because the property was going cheap. And the city of Sanford wanted that piece of lot on 904 Celery. They got on the news, the old code enforcement man. He said, we're going to knock down this house. I didn't know that it was going up for auction. And we didn't really, me and my daughter were just trying something. So we bought the property, but it was a miscommunication with the tax deed people and the city of Sanford. So I knocked down the house. I paid a lot of money on this property. Why hit me when you just get a check for $11,000?
Right.
This is wrong. And I just want somebody to help me. I don't have nothing.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Randall Park.
may I suggest that Ms. Campbell get with the Tony Raimondo and have him look over and see what needs to be done? He's our director for code enforcement.
Yeah, but I just want to show him all the things because maybe he didn't know what was going on. He only knew about the first code enforcement bills that I was paid. I need y'all to step in. I need y'all to go on top of what's going on in code enforcement. They just can't keep coming after poor people and just hit them one time big and then come back again and hit them again. I didn't know what was going on. I would have cleaned my property. I've never kept a dirty property.
I'd like Mr. Raimondo to be able to evaluate it, and then he can advise us on what he thinks is the next step.
Okay. So just bring all these papers to him?
He'll see you before you leave, and you can see what we need to do.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I remember her.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak to the commission? Okay, seeing no one, I'll close that. We have increase in purchase order 39222.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, city staff is requesting an increase in purchase order 39222 to Corin Mills, Maine, for $1 million, and this is for the mass meter exchange project.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any motion and second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Budget transfer for the force main replacement?
Yes, the staff is requesting commission approval for the procurement of Calf Hut construction for the 18-inch wastewater force main installation at Airport and Country Club in the amount of $7,700,000.
Any questions or motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Any motion and second, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Resolution 3422.
Yes, staff is requesting commission approval of resolution 3422, a budget amendment to reallocate funds received from the PFAS class action settlement in the amount of $2,201,092.78 as described in the agenda memo.
Any questions or motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Any motion and second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Resolution 3423.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, staff is requesting commission approval of resolution 3423, amending the city budget in the amount of $668,528 and the approval of procurement for a budget tree service as described in the agenda memo.
Any questions or motion?
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution 3424.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, City staff is requesting Commission approval of Resolution 3424, adopting the city's new purchasing policy as just distributed.
Questions or motion?
I'm just gonna ask, can we, I don't know if anybody's here from the Purchasing Finance Department. Cindy, would it be a problem if we tabled this one just so I could meet with you, ask a couple more questions? I just don't wanna approve just because it's getting late. I really wanna look at it. We have some real purchasing issues and some concerns that I might have, and I'm just wondering if I can just dig into this a little bit more.
I don't have a problem. I know a lot of departments are hanging on this to pass.
How much of what you gave us today is different from what we've already discussed? I don't know if that's a short answer.
The exact same one, except for the verbiage. I did change on the change orders that y'all had approved, which says change orders that increase the purchase order above the lesser of 10% or 75,000 will come back to commission unless they're under the 100,000 threshold, which is the city manager. Basically, everything else is the same.
Okay.
Same basic content, just more detail.
What was that?
For the most part, it's the same content, and in addition to that, I reviewed the purchasing policy to clarify certain language and to edit it further.
I'm just gonna take you on that. I did, I had a couple questions about the CCNA, but we're good.
I mean, you can still ask the question.
No, because I like to take my time and ask them in layman's terms, and I'm just.
CCNA, basically in here it just says we follow state statute.
Okay.
But you can ask anytime.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Mr. Mayor, we did have the airport.
Right. Are you handling that one?
Yes.
Okay.
We do have one last item. There was a presentation, at least explanation, earlier today during the work session. The Sanford Airport Authority is seeking approval and authorization to amend the 2025-2026 fiscal year capital budget and operating revenue. The change would be the $1,155,000 with the understanding as to the presentation in the work session as to how that would be broken down.
Move to approve. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Passed
Only because Speak's still here.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Passed unanimously.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Commission, I want to acknowledge that Nicole and George have the same philosophy about City Commission actions as I do. I'll tell you what the commission does after they've done it.
The other that has to do with the airport is the air show. And Brady has worked with the air show to do a sponsorship of $10,000 that will provide us advertising in their program, ad reads during the show throughout both days, 20 tickets that we can provide to Seminole High School aeronautic and ROTC students, and they are also providing 100 tickets a day through the police department.
Brady is just doing $10,000 from where?
From economic development,
For what?
right? As a sponsorship of the air show. Brady, do you want to come speak to it?
Yes, Mayor, City Commissioners, Brady Lassard, Economic Development Director. So this is a conversation that's been going on with the commission, the air show, the airport, obviously our PD for about 2 months now. We were asked to intervene and see if there was an opportunity for the city to receive a benefit from an advertising perspective in exchange for some concessions on behalf of the air show folks. Chief Smith and I have spoken about this. The mayor, obviously Commissioner Austin made a comment
at one of our previous commission meetings to see how we can make this work. The logistics of the agreement that's being proposed by the mayor, if I'm not mistaken, are the concessions that the mayor just discussed as far as advertisement in the handbill that will be provided to all the air show attendees. Main Street is actually crafting the ad reads. Mayor, if the commission acts on your motion tonight, Main Street is developing 3 to 4 ad reads that would be read throughout the show, both on Saturday and Sunday afternoon. I would, as an aside of potential interest to the commission, the city manager and I have been talking about this, and I do see that George is still with us tonight, but with the federal shutdown, there may be some programming changes that will certainly affect the air show. I don't want to speak to that directly. George is here, but there was a show in Atlanta October 11th and 12th, so this yesterday and Saturday, that were, I believe, affected by the federal shutdown, but George, I would defer to you on that.
They still had a show, but it was no military presence.
So what George has confirmed, what the concern that I expressed with the city manager, that the Department of War, someone pointed that out earlier, I was mistakenly referring to it as Department of Defense still, has not determined air shows of the manner that are going to be. The show that's going to occur here in Sanford is essential. So for anyone that would like to, on the ground, visit the C-130s, the Apache helicopters, see the F-35s, the F-18 Hornet, I believe, was advertised for this show. That will, barring a change in the federal lockdown, George, remain the case for this show.
So what's the return on the city's investment in this, Brady? Because not that well, I don't understand it, but I love the airport authority. But we're talking about like the Botanical Gardens, Porch Fest, MLK, Main Street. These are some things that we've got to discuss in the future about partnerships, sponsorships, and stuff like that. 10K is a lot for the air show that's going to make its own money.
Commissioner, I concur with that. $10 is a lot when we're talking about taxpayer dollars. Our department was asked to assist in facilitating a successful show this year. The mayor will share with you and the city manager will share with you, as is the police chief on board with this. I am adamant about post-show, post-event, us sitting down, not just with the airport, but with the air show promoter and seeing actual documented. Placer AI is one of the examples I'll use to generate a better understanding moving forward on an ROI of any participation of the city moving forward. But certainly in this case, what we're talking about tonight.
And we
Yes.
talked about this idea when we approved the event.
Yes. I will add too, there's a little bit of shifting deck chairs around here.
Right.
The airport cannot spend money on the air show, interestingly enough. FAA regulations prohibit us from doing that, but we can do marketing sponsorships for other entities. And so in the past, that's what we have done. We have sponsored fireworks. We have supported some of the charitable organizations associated with the city. So there will be a return in the sense that we will sponsor things for the city, because we can justify a marketing benefit out of that for the airport, and that is an allowable expense. So I just want to, there's more. Mayor and I sort of worked this out last year, and we'll do the same thing this year, where we're able to sponsor things that the city is engaged in from a marketing standpoint. So there's a little bit of a kind of, you spend money here, we'll spend money there. We're just constrained at the airport on what we can spend our dollars on, and there has to be, we can't really market on our own property, but we can market at other events in the community. And so we try to do that to offset some of these kind of, shifts in marketing dollars from one agency to the other.
Jerry? I think the airport just said they want to sponsor fireworks.
That's right.
And they want to sponsor things for the police department.
I will share that.
There goes the chief.
Oh, boy.
There goes the chief. Come on now.
Well, it's interesting that last year at our Hispanic event, the airport sponsored.
Oh, nice.
After our meeting, asking them to pay, they didn't this year.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Did he drop the money?
Hey.
It's not a matter of me talking to her. George is the one who made that decision.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Okay.
So, here, Nicole.
I knew it was
Okay.
George's fault.
So,
Moving
All right, call it the order.
All right. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Chief. Okay.
Okay, then.
Oh, boy.
So,
All right. So I would couch it in as give Brady the authority to do the sponsorship if the show continues as planned.
Mayor, I'd prefer the commission make the determination formally, and then I would get with Ms. Lindsay on the logistics of how we handle that.
All right.
That's a good answer, Brady.
So there'll still be birds in the air at the air show.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And Commissioner Thomas, to your point, and there was another commissioner that asked earlier, there was an additional security measure that the chief was being tasked with as far as transporting, or escorting, I should say, the Thunderbird pilots. This was the Air Force equivalent of the Blue Angels. In the event that the Fed shutdown continues, and it appears to be likely that it will, that component would not be necessary.
Yeah.
Okay. So up to y'all.
Do we need it?
I'm sorry, yes. That's what I'm hearing from the audience. Will there still be birds in the air? Yes. There will be a civilian-based air show. I believe there's a P-35 Mustang that's operated by civilian pilot. P-51, my.
4 or 5, 6 acts. In Atlanta, they brought in some additional stuff to make up for the military absence. I would imagine they might do the same.
So yes, Commissioner Thomas, I'm sorry I didn't get to that point.
I'll give you 5,000.
I thought it was coming out of economic development.
I think she's being
Still city money.
I'm giving Brady money to give for himself.
I know it's city money, but I'm just saying it's coming out of his line item from economic development, right? Okay.
Okay, so what do you want to do?
We have to approve this?
Yeah, because we have to approve the spending of the money for a public purpose.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, for a public purpose?
For a public purpose.
We're talking about 10,000 or 5?
10,000.
10.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Passes 4 to 1. Okay. City Attorney, anything else?
I have nothing else.
City Clerk, anything?
No.
City Manager?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Britton?
Yes, I had something so important.
You want us to come back to you?
No. Yeah, come right back to me. I got some
Wiggins.
notes.
I want to thank everyone that played a part in the men's health huddle. Great success we had over at Westside. We had men check as well as prostate cancer check, and great turnout. So I'd like to thank the Florida Health Department, Seminole County, City of Sanford, Picnic Project, Unity Youth Association, Seminole County Healthy Star, Care Plus, True Health, New York Life, Career Source of Central Florida, and Faucet Therapy. We're looking to continuously partner with the health department to keep that going on a yearly basis, as well as I have my community meeting next Thursday at Westside 6 p.m. And then following that Friday, we'll be at Coastline Park at 3 p.m. for anyone that needs groceries. That's it.
Mr. Austin?
I would like, and I don't see Brent here,
Oh, there he is. I would like an official, city, study done on the cost of moving the water treatment facility. We've always been told it's too expensive. We've always been told it's $100 million. I want real numbers so we can put it to bed and we can let the taxpayers know that we looked into it and it's X amount of money. We inherited this issue. We inherited this plant where it is. None of us here put it there. We are doing our best to maintain what we have inherited as a commission and as a mayor up here.
I don't think we doing our best to maintain it, but.
Well, you're wrong. We are. But I appreciate you saying you're not. Mr. Johnson, I do like to ask you a couple questions, please. Is the current issue due to the fact that our plant is overwhelmed and that we have overdeveloped our city?
The current, when you say current issue?
The odor control arm. The stink.
No, I wouldn't say it's because of the development, no, sir.
Okay. You want him to? Can you give us an update?
Sure.
Go ahead and share.
Okay. So as it relates to the odor, aside from some of the other things that we're looking at, some of the main contributors to the odor, we believe, are the odor control systems. There are two separate odor control systems at the plant. One has been replaced. That was probably an 8 or 9 month process to finally get that installed, and that's at the headworks. That is functional. We have another odor control system at our ATAD system. I know someone's going to ask, what's ATAD? That is thermophilic aerobic digester. I know, don't ask me to say it again.
It's a treatment tank.
It's basically, it heats the sludge up to remove all of the pathogens to make it a Class A biosolid is basically what it does. And then we also have our solar dryer system, which is another part of the drying process for the sludge. That's also in the process of getting repaired. So we've ordered the second odor control unit for the ATAD system. Because of the time it's going to take to get that unit, it's a custom-built unit, we looked into purchasing a much cheaper unit that may not get the exact same benefit, but will help. So we're making modifications to install that temporarily until we can get that permanent, which it won't be until the end of November. We were told a little bit sooner, but the latest update that we got was we won't receive that unit until the end of November. And then we're actively working on, which was another 4 or 5 month process, 6 month process to get a contractor on board to repair the solar dryer system, which is basically the big greenhouse looking building in the corner of the plant. And so we're actively in the process of repairing that right now. We're hoping that all of those things combined will help minimize the odor. And as I said, and you all probably received the email on Thursday where we're also working on some internal processes that don't cost us any money. I know there's a lot of things being thrown out there from companies and telemarketers, if you will, marketing their products and how they can reduce the odor. We're aware of some of the things that we can do. Unfortunately, those things cost a lot, and it requires a lot of testing in advance of using those to basically ensure that the product is needed. But in lieu of spending those funds, we're trying a process change that doesn't cost the city anything in conjunction with making all those repairs that I mentioned.
Thank you.
That's the short version.
I would point out that in the city manager reports through August, Public Works mentioned 47 maintenance or repair items at the plant.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I would like us to study moving the plant.
And what it would cost.
And what it would cost. And for future purposes, I know you answered this question for me before, but I'm going to ask again.
Okay.
The part that we're waiting on we cannot keep in stock. It's special order to fit our unit as it is, right?
Yes, sir, but what we did do is, as a part of another project that we're doing, we did order a backup for that particular part. That one lasted us probably about 2 years, so it was just easier for us to go ahead and put one on, on hand and in stock to replace if something does happen to it. So although we normally wouldn't, we did in this particular case, purchase another one.
Well, you just said that, you just made the statement that this could only be, it couldn't be ordered.
No, it's a special build unit that we have to order. It's built just for our plant. All the specs are just for what it is that we need. We wouldn't normally keep that on hand, but because we had issues, we purchased one about 2 or 3 years ago. We had that same one repaired. So instead of trying to wait another 8-9 months to purchase another one if it were to go down, we decided it just makes sense for us to go ahead and have one on hand, even if it sits around for 2 years.
To be proactive and do that, but what Commissioner Austin was trying to make a statement that it could not have been pre-ordered, ordered ahead of time, and you're saying it could have been.
Right, but we didn't know it was going to. So the reality of it is, we never know when things are going to break. I mean, we can purchase something and they'll tell us that it's going to last 5 years, 10 years, but that's under certain conditions. We don't know how long it's going to last under our conditions or based on how often we use it. So it's hard to dictate and determine. We may get a pump that says it's a 10-year pump, and it could go, we bought a diesel generator.
Okay, we know that.
Right.
The previous meeting, you told me that we cannot keep this part unstock.
We normally would not, no.
Okay, you did not say normally would not. You said we cannot.
Well, because it's a specialty unit, but given the fact that now we've had issues with it, when I was able to go back and look at how long it's been since we purchased that unit, we decided that it may be best to go ahead and have a unit on hand. Now, that may not normally be the case. If we have...
Okay. Moving forward, we plan to try to have this unit on stock.
Yes, sir, that particular unit, yes, sir.
All right.
Let's treat our plant like it's a space station and have redundancies for everything.
Right.
I know it costs money.
So there's always a smell emanating from the plant.
Yes.
Always. Typically, it doesn't go as far as it is right now.
Correct.
But you're telling us tonight now that there's more than one issue you believe that's causing this.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, yes, there's a couple of things that we believe are contributing to it. It's those 3 things that I mentioned, the 2 odor control units and the solar dryer.
All right, and how many of those are going to be fixed by November?
All 3 of them should be up and working by the end of November.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Thomas.
Well, I was going to say, I, believe it or not, have nothing, but I'd like to supplement that a little bit. Thank you, Commissioner Austin. We have, I think that's the reason you're thinking about, and it's been on my mind too, is do we have any possibility of relocating the plant? You've inherited something, we all know this, it's old, things are going to break. We've got a logistics coordinator specialist, something.
Inventory specialist.
Inventory specialist, who's going to do a very thorough job of looking at each and every part and where are we with it, how old are they, what are the chances it's going to go. And I hope that we will do as good a job as we can to the citizens, explaining to them that we are trying to anticipate as best we can these things that are going to go, and not be in a defensive posture, not be just saying, oh, we're fixing it, we're Band-Aiding it. We have to be as fully transparent as we can about everything that's happened, why it's happened, discovering later what might happen. Here are the costs of other options, up to and including a different plant, and why it's impossible for us to do that, unless you want to increase our taxes to the point where, we'll have 500 people at the next meeting complaining about that, so.
Well, that's part of what I hope to accomplish if we do this. I want a solid number so then we can say, this is what it would cost per household, estimate.
Right.
To do a project of this magnitude. We are very, very fortunate that the new water treatment plant is mostly being taken care of through a state,
At least as far as the,
grants. But
forever
sewage
chemicals
treatment
go.
plant,
that's up to us.
that's on us.
Mhm.
And so I just want, I want to put some things to rest, and have some solid information, as we move forward. I personally would have liked to seen, or still see, a statement, or an update from the city manager to the public, on this issue. And perhaps, a little bit from Mr. Johnson as to where we are, how we got here, and where we're headed. It's been hanging out here for a few weeks now, and I've been quiet and I've been well behaved, but I'm starting to get on the fringe. So I would like to see some of that. And I'm sorry to take up your hog your time, Claudia.
Well, we're saying the same thing here. Is there any chance that we're going to do any more testing that might increase the odor? Because obviously, we did do that test, and sure enough, somebody just said something about it right away.
Right, so we, as I stated, we looked at some things that we could do at the plant to reduce the odor. There was a process change that we identified, and as a part of that process, it would have potentially increased the odor before it reduced it. And I know that I've gotten mixed comments or mixed feedback. Some people say that it reduced, some say it got worse. I know I was here myself personally riding around the plant on Sunday. I smelled it immediately south of the plant, but nowhere else, and it was only for a few blocks south of the plant. But nonetheless, it's a process where it requires iterative cycles, so we keep cycling it because we can't, it's not an instant change. It's something that we have to keep running cycles on until we can make it a permanent
So
change.
that's still going on. That could
The cycling
still
is
happen
still
again.
going on. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll just have to look forward to the end of November.
Yes.
That's it.
Commissioner Britton,
Thank
back
you.
to you.
The majority of the people of Sanford appreciate and will accept the truth. They will not accept a bunch of excuses. And Patrick, you are dead wrong to tell me that I am wrong, because replace, functional, maintenance, actively working on, testing in advance, those are all maintenance words. So I said they haven't been maintained. It has not been maintained. That smell, it has gotten like stronger, but it has always been there. Volusia County has wastewater treatments and stuff like that does not smell like ours. We have a lot of excuses here in the city of Sanford. What you're doing right now is being proactive in ordering the parts, but we were not proactive. Again, I totally agree that we inherited this system, but all these excuses that we're making, and then when we put out false information, this will be handled by November, then when November and December, we're having the Christmas parade and you can still smell that crap, then we look like a bunch of liars. We just cannot keep doing that. And the marketing of it has been despicable. I looked on Sanford 327 and saw this whole like giant ghost booger, whatever it was, talking about Sanford stink that they've done with AI. That is embarrassing. My residents in District 1 are complaining about home value. I've brought it up to the commission. I'm no longer talking to Mr. Johnson. I'm talking to you, the commission. We are responsible for this, and we are allowing it to happen. We are. We are. It is ridiculous for that. We haven't held people accountable for this stuff. And I'm not going to continue to argue all night about this because y'all already know what it is. We just got to stop making excuses. That ends the D1 report.
Okay, then we are adjourned.